Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
Love sports.
Sports. When
It comes to
Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
I need to talk a little sports with you, Ags. David Nuño here with TexAgs Radio. Billy Liucci here on TexAgs Radio. Olin Buchanan.
We will develop men, we will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
The best way for us to win is to do it together.
Do you realize everybody knows who you are right now?
I think we're coming into this year with a new confidence.
Schools are like, we're freaking Texas A&M, man. Like,
that's about as pretty a throw-catch combo as there is.
I saw the safety roll, the slot fade. I knew where I needed to put the ball.
You had no other option but one hand at that point.
Yeah, man. 50-50 ball, I got to come down with it.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
All right, so this weekend, we got Vanderbilt, Texas A&M. The first top 10 regular season matchup at Bluebell Park since 2016.
Wow.
OB, who was the team that visited that weekend?
2016.
Top 10 showdown. I think it was number 2 versus number 5.
LSU.
No. We'll try again. Think about this weekend.
Okay, Vanderbilt.
Vanderbilt. You know what happened that weekend?
Texas A&M won the series.
You know what else happened that weekend?
They sweep the series?
Kyle Simon threw a no-hitter that weekend.
Oh, okay.
You know who was on that team?
I don't.
J.B. Moss.
Oh, okay.
You know who will be in studio later on?
J.B. Moss.
Yes. You know who else will be in studio later on?
I don't know.
Ryan Brauninger?
Brauninger?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you were going to say maybe the guy that threw the
No. That would be good. That would be great. I'm going to give you another one. Another TexAgs staffer. Who else is going to be in the studio?
Richard Zane.
Yes. And then a non-TexAgger staffer. Or not a staffer, but like an analyst.
Scott Clendenin.
Yes. And then like the guy who kind of runs the show will be in studio.
Andrew Monaco.
Runs this show.
Oh, this show. Billy Liucci.
Billy Liucci.
I was going to say, you're already here.
Well, he's the real deal. I just, I'm the puppet.
You said it. I did.
It's TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. I'm excited, buddy.
I can tell.
Big,
but it is a big series. And a series, I think I fully expect the Aggies to win it.
Nuñoism. It's a big deal, but it's not. You know when I do the one thing?
Yeah.
Like, if they win this series, it doesn't ensure you anything. It just continues down the path. Another data point. If they lose this series, man, that sucks. You can take a little bit of a step back. All right, reset. Let's go. That's because you've got such a long way to go considering you still got to go to Hoover. You still got, hopefully hosting a regional and a super regional and hopefully College World Series is.
Yeah.
But this weekend, at least put yourself a little distance there in the SEC standings.
Plus, I haven't given up on A&M's chances of actually winning the SEC. I know they're 4 games behind Arkansas, but
you play Arkansas.
But you play Arkansas. Plus, I may be way off on this. It just seems to me that A&M has played more of its stronger opponents already.
Yep.
And maybe Arkansas has more of its stronger opponents to come.
Yeah.
And I could be way off on that. I'm just saying this the way it just seems to me. So go out and beat.
Well, I know A&M has a tough finish. Right now you got
Ole Miss coming up. They've been struggling, right? LSU's been struggling, right?
Yep. But I think over the next week,
it's not supposed to be easy.
Vandy, Bama, boom, boom, right? Yeah,
but you could probably say that for. I would wonder. I don't know, but I'd wonder what Arkansas's schedule coming up.
Yeah, we could look that up. The show team here put together some numbers for us on home attendance this year, the home attendance average.
Yeah.
And let's see. Looking at it, Texas A&M averaging almost 12,800.
Really?
If I'm reading this correctly,
I didn't even know they could get that many in.
Yeah, it can't be. Capacity 61. I'm reading this wrong. 6,100. The average is 5,785 this year. So 95% capacity.
I was gonna say, is it 12,000 for the series?
I think it's 127,000 for the year.
Okay.
Combined. That's I read that incorrectly, but yeah, they're averaging 5,785, and the capacity is 6,100. So
they need to make it bigger.
They will.
I would think, because
if you build it, they'll come.
Yeah, I think especially with the way they're playing, and Schlossnagel's got such a good program going. Baseball's so much fun. People like it here.
They do like it here.
I like it. I didn't never paid attention to. Now I find myself, if I can't watch it, I'm
You're gonna
following the Richard Zane thread because it's just like watching it.
So let's do 3 things we want to see this weekend.
Okay.
Olin Buchanan, I'm going to let you pick the first 3.
Okay. I want to see Braden Montgomery back in the Braden Montgomery form.
I like the way you speak to me. Yeah, that's great.
I like that. Braden, I'm a fan. I want to see.
Say it in like your R&B smooth jazz voice.
I want to see. I'd like to see more hitting at the bottom of the order.
Oh yeah, I like when they do. From the bottom.
I like that
Order.
bottom
Of the order.
Of the order.
Yeah, I like that too.
Yeah, and then I just want to see really good, strong pitching, starting pitching, especially on Friday and Saturday.
Yeah, just strong.
Because I feel like I feel like the large young man of Hebrew descent, or what does Richard call him? The big Jew.
I don't feel like I can say it.
Yeah,
I'm not in the community.
But from what I understand,
if it's the big Cuban,
from what I understand, he likes it.
Yeah.
So
he likes it.
Yeah, he likes it. So the moniker. So I would like to see. I also expect strong pitching from him, but I'd like to see great, strong starting pitching.
Do you think there's an older gentleman listening to the show right now, like, I can't hear him?
What is going on? And you know what? I just want to see. I'm going to give you a 4th one. I want to see Eschenbach be Eschenbach when he comes on.
I like him a lot. I do. I'm going to give you my 3.
All right.
You familiar with Ryan Brauninger?
I am.
What's his nickname?
The big Jew.
The big guy. I want a tone setter for the weekend tonight from Ryan Brauninger. Right? I want him just to do what he's done 95% of the season. Set the tone on Friday night. Put yourself in position to win the series tonight.
I just want to see him pitch the way he pitched last time he pitched.
Yep.
Was that Sterling?
That's not bad. And by the way, he's going to have the crowd on his side. That's good times. The other thing I want to see is, I'm going to say it in your smooth jazz voice.
Okay.
Little Jace Lavalette finding his groove, baby.
Get back to. I mean, is he really not in the groove? I mean,
he's fine, but I think he's got definitely another level to get to. I think he's batting .250 in SEC play. So let's get that back to close to 300.
Close to 300. Yeah. And by the way, he's hitting extra bases. Like I've seen him hit some doubles and things. But we want to.
I want to see him go yard.
We want to see him
because chicks dig the long ball.
Yeah, they do.
They do. I didn't hit a lot of home runs.
Yeah, I didn't either.
I played T-ball though.
Yeah.
And I want to see Tiger Woods stay in the mix at the Masters. I like when he's in the mix. Stephen McGee, we walked together to practice yesterday. I'm sorry, I did not watch a moment of the Masters. I kept up with it on Twitter. But, I like when he's in the mix, OP. I like it. It's fun.
I don't care.
You don't like it?
Now, here's what I don't like about it, right?
Okay.
So I turned on, I went to ESPN today.
.com?
.com. And there's a picture of Tiger Woods, and it says
1 under.
Tiger's 1 under. And I'm like, so why don't you have a picture of the guy who's 7 under? Right?
Because chicks dig the long ball and chicks dig the Tiger. That's why.
Yeah, well, one of them dug him with a
and by the way,
9-iron.
The leader is a known name, Bryson DeChambeau, at 7 under.
But anyway, that's always my issue is, it's kind of the LeBron James thing, right? If somebody's out playing him, the media still, that's their focus is LeBron James. If Tiger Woods, he's having a good ride, and I get it. People are interested, but he's somewhat competitive. But there's a guy that's way out in front of him that you're not highlighting.
Well, I'm looking at ESPN.com right now. Mm-hmm. The big picture is of the Tiger. The second picture right under, smaller, right? So Tiger gets the 5-inch picture. Mm-hmm. The 2-inch picture goes to DeChambeau.
Exactly.
And the headliner should be, in your opinion, the guy who's leading.
The guy who's leading.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
I get both because I agree. The guy who's leading should be a bigger talking point. But people like me are tuning in because it's the Masters is a big deal. But I want to see where Tiger's at. I do. Where's Tiger? I want to see that as quickly as possible.
Okay. And that's obviously the way but that's exactly why I don't want to say root against him because I don't care enough to actually watch.
Right.
But I was going to say, okay, I wonder who's leading the Masters today. So I looked it up and I went, Tiger's leading the Masters? Oh, no.
He's
only
6 strokes back.
Right. So,
yeah. Because every time we get to this time of year, is this the last time Tiger plays in the Masters? Is he going to even make the cut? Some years he does, some years he doesn't. But I just want to see him in the mix. I went to practice yesterday.
how was it?
Different. Okay. Different vibe.
Okay.
Couple things. And different's not bad, by the way. I don't want anybody nobody cares about like our vantage point of like we're a little further back. That's fine. I don't care. Like it's not a big deal to me. I noticed a couple things. First, this is what I want to start off with visibly what I saw. Are you familiar with number 7, Moose Muhammad?
Yeah, I'm familiar with it.
He looks bigger and stronger. Like his arms look bigger. He looked like he's been working out.
Well,
and honestly, I noticed that about the wide receivers in general. There was a stretch where they were in front of us that I could see closely, and then I saw Moose returning some punts. He looks like he's been lifting, like he's been in the gym.
okay, is that going to help him or be a hindrance when it actually comes to that playing?
I guess we'll see if it affects his speed later, but
It seemed to me, and it may, I mean, I'm not saying it. I would think Tommy Moffitt, you would say, hey, this is what we need to do, and he knows how to do it. But it would seem to me that that Damani Richardson didn't play as well last year as he had in prior years.
yeah.
And the only thing I could see different was that he'd got really jacked up. Now, way back when, I'm talking more than 20 years ago, and I remember this because I drafted him in the second round of my fantasy team. Chargers had a receiver, David Boston. You might remember.
I remember him, big, strong dude.
Humble, from Humble, and went to Ohio State. And he put up huge numbers. And then the next year he came back and he looked like a bodybuilder.
Right.
And his production really just vanished. Now, I say that, but what's the guy from Ole Miss who's the receiver from the Seattle Seahawks? He's from Ole Miss.
DK Metcalf?
Metcalf.
Oh, that dude's
that
jacked.
Guy, and he got better.
Terrell Owens. Jacked.
So I'm just hoping that. So I'm not saying that this. I guess what I'm trying to say is, hey, great that you look, all muscular and everything, but unless it helps you on the field.
Well, what does Moose do that is spectacular?
Makes one-handed catches.
Exactly. I think that's. I don't think that's going to be affected by. Okay. Also, if he wants to play at the next level, he needs to be able to get separation. He needs to be able to break free. So I see this. Could it be a potential backstep? I don't know. He barely played last year, right? And under a different regime, I get it.
Yeah.
I
expect him to be a big factor this year, a huge factor.
And I expect putting on a little muscle to be helpful.
It probably
Tommy
will.
Moffitt's probably high-fiving people right now.
Probably
you noticed.
So.
Let's
Probably
go.
So.
I think Tommy and I would be best friends if he'd give me a chance.
But I'm just saying that I've seen sometimes when it's been counterproductive. And it really, look, and I know a guy that used to talk about the offensive linemen and how good they looked. And there was going on one guy, man, this guy has a six-pack and all this, and he's lying. I don't care. If a fat guy can knock you on your butt, then I want the fat guy that can knock you on your butt. If a guy has a six-pack but doesn't dominate the line of scrimmage, who cares?
Let me tell you how I look at it, because I agree with you 100%. Everything you just said. If you're fat and you can make the play, go for it. I just want somebody good at the position. But to me, going to the gym is discipline. It means hard work. It means you have to go, and that's an attention to detail and a work ethic that to me tells me more about you. And I think the production will follow because of that. It doesn't always work out that way. I think you're right. But my point is, if you're that focused and you are in, it's been 3 months since we last saw Moose? Yeah. 4 months?
I'm not saying this applies to Moose.
No, I know.
In fact, I don't know that there's a bigger fan of Moose Muhammad than me. Okay? But have you ever heard the old adage, looks like Tarzan, plays like Jane?
Yeah. People told me that about myself.
Well, but so sometimes, again, how are you going to play? If all that extra muscle makes you play better, then great. I hope it does. And Moose is a tough guy anyway, so I'd expect him to. And I've also seen how Tommy Moffitt's, when he was at LSU, their receivers typically, I don't want to say look like linemen, but they were typically really
Big, strong dudes.
And they were typically really good. So I'm on board with it. I'm expecting Moose to have a really big year. I'm just saying, but I got to see it because.
Sure. The other thing I noticed, and we got to move around here in a second, but Cyrus Allen, he's got a body. And I don't mean that he just looked bigger than I expected. Okay. In my mind, I expected, I don't know, and even Ja'Day Walker looked bigger to me. And
he's a big guy anyway.
Right. But when Cyrus Allen, I didn't know what to expect. Right. I'd seen his measurables, and I see him on the field.
So they say he's like 180 pounds?
He didn't look that way to me.
Okay.
He looked like he's got a nice size to him, height, everything.
Well, once again, with the Moffitt influence, we may see a lot of guys that look different than we're used to seeing at Texas A&M.
And I hope so. Oh, Nick Scorton? Mm-hmm. The guy looks like, I get it. We knew looking at the numbers, right, and seeing some highlights, I get it. Just walking on the field, oh, yeah. You remember my first day going to an A&M practice, and all I could talk about was Michael Clemens. Yeah. Remember that? I was like, this guy is going to be great. I've seen him, but wow. I looked at Nick Scorton. Again, very short, limited sample size. I get it. I get all the talk about it. Just seeing him up close.
He's Clemens-like.
I don't know if Clemens-like is the right. He's got a presence to him.
Okay.
You can tell this guy's a stud.
I can't wait to see him play.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. This is Coffee Talk presented by TexAgs Coffee. Beat that hell out of the morning by going to texags.com/coffee and get yourself some TexAgs coffee. Let's go around the room and say hello to the people. I believe Nick Savage is behind the glass doing the good work here of
Who
the
else would
show.
it be?
Well, I mean, I think Cade did the show one day this week.
Yeah, well, he did on Wednesday.
Good response.
I believe that Luke Evangelist at times has done it.
Well, next Friday, Cade will be doing the show again because I will be gone.
Humble brag. Bachelor party. Hey! Were you invited?
No.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah. Yikes.
Sorry, Nick, what you were saying?
I'm just excited for the baseball series this weekend. Like you mentioned, if Ryan Brauninger can go out and get you a win tonight and set you up with a chance to win the series Saturday and Sunday, I think the Aggies are in a really good spot. And I want to see what the bottom of the order can do for A&M, like y'all mentioned as well. Can Ted Burton, can
Teddy B?
Why am I forgetting names? Hayden Schott, Ali Camarillo, can he have a big game? Can we get another multi-homer game from Jackson Appel? Maybe, who knows? That's a big wish list, but
I'll take 3 homers from him.
Yeah, I will too. He's got 6 on the year.
But anyways, just that's kind of what I'm watching for. Is if we get vintage Brauninger tonight, A&M's in a good spot, and if you get production from the bottom of that order, you're in a really, really good spot.
Hey, Nick, you were at practice yesterday with me. Did you see some of the same things I noticed, or am I out of left field?
To be completely honest with you, David, my biggest takeaway was, who are you people? I'm trying when I'm watching everybody, with so many new faces in there. I'm looking at everyone.
You people, remember that Tropic Thunder? No?
I do remember. Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry, Nick.
I'm just, I need to bring a roster with me and be like, okay, that's number.
I was going through that myself. I was like, wait.
Outside of the outside of Noah Thomas, Musa Muhammad, the quarterbacks, I recognize Bryce Anderson, but other than that, I'm just a lot of new faces around here. But I mean, they all look good, all impressive physically, and I enjoyed what I got to see yesterday.
Good stuff, Nick. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Jackson Moss is in the house. Jackson, I know you've got a very busy weekend, something on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, right?
I do. I'm actually getting my ring this evening, so
congratulations.
That's exciting. It's been a long time coming. I know Matthew Dawson just got his too, so shout out him.
Hey, you put a little product in your hair. It looks good today, buddy.
I did. I usually do throw product in my hair.
Today it looks a little bit more and I don't mean this in a mean. I know you'll take it that way. A little more Ken-like, like you styled it.
Thank you. I think that might be the first compliment you've ever given me, so thank you.
You're welcome. You do good work.
So hopping into the news with A&M Sports, Texas A&M's Tyrese Radford received an invitation to the 2024 Portsmouth Invitational Tournament, which has been showcasing in talents of senior college basketball players to professional scouts since 1953. The 70th PIT will be from April 17th through the 20th with 8 teams of 8 players playing 12 games in 4 days. And then as we talked about it already, number 3 Texas A&M baseball team welcomes number 6 Vanderbilt to Olsen Field for a 3-game series starting tonight at 6 p.m. And then I have a couple stats for y'all really quick. On the mound, the Aggies currently ranked first nationally in shutouts. I think they're tied with Arkansas right now at 6.
Interesting.
Second in ERA, second in strikeout to walk ratio, 5th in strikeouts per 9 innings, 6th in WHIP, 11th in hits allowed per 9, and 11th in walks allowed per 9.
Wait. So this is national stats.
National stats.
And I wonder where, and I don't mean to be ragging on anybody, but I guess I will be. I wonder where LSU ranks and all those things. I don't expect you to have it. The point is that Max Wiener's done a heck of a job.
Max Wiener has done a fantastic job. And that's not saying that other people haven't done a good or bad job. We're just talking Max Wiener here.
Yeah. Even though I did bring up LSU.
Oh, you did.
I think
forgot.
the former pitching coach may be there.
Interesting. Nate Dogg?
Nathan's never mind.
Continue on, please.
So I got some offensive stats as well. The Maroon and White sit second nationally in walks, 9th in homers, 12th in home runs per game, 11th in slugging percentage, and 13th in on-base percentage. And finally, Obi, cue the equestrian noises. There it is. The Texas A&M
Dude, that's
equestrian.
a new wrinkle.
I know. Do
that again? No, the whole thing. You ever do that at parties?
All the time.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah.
Continue.
So the Texas A&M equestrian team garnered 8 All-SEC honors, and Tana McKay was named the SEC Co-Coach of the Year as the league announced its awards for the 2024 season Thursday afternoon. The awards were in horsemanship, reining, all SEC team selections, and SEC Community Service Awards.
Good stuff there, buddy. Appreciate you. Thank you very much. All right, when we come back here on TexAgs Radio, we're going to bank on something. We're moving it up in the show because we got some other stuff to get into throughout the program. And, we'll get to your text messages and your phone calls, 979-693-1150. Let's talk about Heritage Films. That's Chance McClain's company. Good buddy Chance does these documentary films about families. He tells your family story. He wants to capture it and make sure that it is there for the next generation and the generation after that. It's a really cool thing that he does, 2-hour documentaries, tell your family story, family business, family ranch, family get-togethers, whatever it may be. Let him be an eye in the sky and tell that family story, interview the folks that are involved, and really get to the root of the family, right? Like, just find all about it. You can do that. That's a 2-hour documentary. He also does these things called the Year Flicks, which are more for the younger kids in the family, 12 to 15-minute videos that capture your kid's essence of where they are, a benchmark video, if you will. Q&A with a green screen in the background, shot there in the Tomball area, and it is fantastic. We did it with Annalise, my middle daughter, and she loved it. And we got to find out where she was at 12. Now at 13, we'll follow it up and do another one. You can do one every year. You can do one every couple of years as a benchmark video to find out where they're at. The website is yourheritagefilm.com, yourheritagefilm.com, 713-893-8341, 713-893-8341 is Heritage Films. We're back here on the program. It's TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Gardner Jewelers. We're here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. It is a go hour presented by the warehouse at CC Creations. OB, my buddy Philip was listening to the show, and he thought our R&B segment was a bit too creepy.
Yeah, probably would.
Yeah. But I actually heard
but it won't stop us.
There's a lot of ladies on the text that said, give me more of the R&B OB.
You know, and I have to tell them, look, I'm married. So,
but they just want to hear your voice.
I know they do.
Did you used to call the movie line, remember? Like on Seinfeld, but like in real life? Did you ever you never called to find out what time the movie was?
That. Not really. But you know what I used to do is go. Somebody like Jackson wouldn't even know what this is. I used to call the number for time and temperature.
Oh, yeah. I remember that. What about 976 numbers? I'm sure you were big in that.
I don't know what that is.
Remember those 976 numbers? You'd call and you'd have to pay $1.99 per minute to talk to. It could be a sci-fi thing or another kind of. No?
I don't even know.
No, 1-900. No,
I've heard of 900 numbers.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about 976.
Same thing. It's the same world.
I was always too
cheap,
much too cheap and frugal for that.
Well, that works great with our segue to bank on it.
Presented
by Vera Bank, authentic relationship-based banking built for real life. Go see Joel Jackson and the team and learn more at verabank.com. OB, what are you banking on?
Well,
this
first
weekend?
of all, why would you not? I mean, really bank on Ryan Prager? Why would you not bank on him? I mean, the guy has been phenomenal this year. And so, every time he's pitching, I'm banking on it. Okay, here comes a really strong pitching performance. I'm banking on the Aggies to win when he's pitching.
Okay. Well, I'm going to bank on two things because you said that. And maybe it's almost in a way three. I am banking on a Prager-Oschenbeck Friday night, okay? Right? Prager gets it started, Oschenbeck closes the door, right? That's what I'm banking on when it comes to a pitching performance. But I'm going to follow that up with, I'm banking on Braden and Jace.
Oh, okay.
All right? All weekend long, bombs.
Why are you leaving Grohovec out of that?
Oh, he could be a part of it. Okay. I'm just talking about those two because I think Braden hasn't hit a home run in 12 minutes, and it's been a while. It's been 12 minutes since he hit a home run.
Okay.
So that's why Gavin's been pretty freaking consistent.
Have we gotten so spoiled, though,
yes.
really, that they win a whole series and Braden Montgomery didn't hit a home run? And you're like, well, wait, but my world
has he lost
is messed. Yeah.
What happened? It's called baseball. That's baseball happened.
See, he makes it look too easy. And it's hard to hit a baseball. He makes it look too easy. So when it does,
but every time he comes up to a bat, especially in the ninth inning when they're trailing, you're like, he's about to win the game right now, right? Like that's just how you feel.
Every time he gets to the bat, comes to the bat, you want to stop what you're doing to make sure you're expecting something amazing to happen.
Yeah. Look, the sports fan in me goes through many. You sit by me in games. I go through many phases, right? Like I go from fear to, we got this. The difference with this baseball team is they're going to lose series. It happens, right? But I've got confidence because they have good pitching.
Mm-hmm.
I have confidence because they have great offense.
Mm-hmm.
I think their pin, especially with Oschenbeck, is fantastic. Are there some other guys that need to emerge?
Doing well, and some other guys are doing pretty well.
But you need some.
What about Cortez the other night?
Cortez looked great. He absolutely did. So I do think you need some more dudes that you can count on. But overall, that's why, if we talk about every team has deficiencies in some place, right?
Mm-hmm.
The 90s Bulls had deficiencies. They just had the best player in the world. Teams have certain areas that they are not fantastic at. This team will have some deficiencies, but I feel like in those levels of baseball, pitching, pin, starting pitching pin, you talk about their offense, ability to steal some bases, their defense. To me, I just have a lot of confidence because they have all the pieces.
What's the deficiency of this Texas A&M baseball team?
I think I'm going to ask Bronny that later, and Zane and Clendenin and JB Moss. But I will tell you, if
base running,
sometimes base running. I would also say I'm not 100%. I don't know if I believe in the pin completely.
Okay,
which is you shouldn't. Not that you shouldn't. It's hard to. Oschenbeck does get you out of a lot of jams. Right.
Uh-huh.
So can there be? I don't want to say more Oschenbecks, but I just need some more dudes. And we're starting to see a little bit of it.
Here's what because one thing that you said you're banking on that I don't want to see.
Okay.
I don't want to see the Prager and Aschenbeck.
You want Aschenbeck to have a day off.
I want Prager to be so good and they have such a lead that you can bring in somebody else and say,
well, that's what I want.
Aschenbach for later.
But I'm banking on Aschenbeck closing the door somewhere.
And by the way, do whatever it takes to get that first win. Because I know last week that was on the thread. That was a topic of discussion.
Let's do this. Let's hit a break because when we come back, we're going to talk about coaches in college football. Right. ESPN's got some top coaches. We'll go through some of those and get your takes on these. Who do you think is the top coach in college football?
The top coach in college football, Kirby Smart.
All right. Well, I agree with you. We'll go through the rest of them when we come back. Right now, if you want a reason to come back to Aggieland, well, you've got a lot. You've got ring day this weekend. You've got football games. You got baseball games. You got basketball. You got soccer. You got a lot of reasons to come back. But if you want to live here so you can live that life all the time like I did, you can get a job at the Association of Former Students. They're looking to hire great people here in professionals in their fundraising department, their student programs, and much, much more, including marketing. I know they have a position open in there. They are the premier alumni association and the oldest organization serving A&M in support of that Aggie network, and they play a part in every Aggie story. You've heard it. Howdy to Here. They're all a part about that. And they want you to help out with Howdy Socials, Aggie Ring Day, class reunions, Aggie Muster, and everything in between. So join a team that exemplifies the Aggie core values of excellence, integrity. You've got leadership, loyalty, respect, selfless service, all in support of that worldwide Aggie network. It is phenomenal. If you're interested in joining a team or sharing with someone that would be a great fit, please visit tx.ag/association jobs to apply and get more information on each position. It is the Association of Former Students. obviously, many great seasons puts you in the top 10, right? If you're really good at your job for many years, you are a top 10 coach, right? Potentially. And if you have just one good year in your entire career, you can move up to the top 10 as well. It's TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio, Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse.
The Warehouse, CC Creations.
Yeah, I love those guys. Great folks there. So Kirby Smart,
yeah,
national championship head coach.
2-time.
Right? Could have been 3. Should have been 3, maybe. Didn't get invited to the playoffs. Number 1, according to ESPN. No argument there.
None.
Number 2. In college, I'll ask you. I mean, I know you haven't made a list, but just in your mind, who do you think should be the number 2 coach?
Oh, gosh. Dabo?
He's not number 2. He's in the top 5. It's Kalen DeBoer. I don't think I put him at number 2.
Yeah, I don't think I'd go there yet.
But I understand a top 5 billing, what he did at Washington, getting the job at Bama. Okay?
And he's done well at his previous stops, but okay.
Number 3, Kyle Whittingham at Utah. That guy can coach.
He can coach, and I think he's a top 10 coach. I'm not sure I'm going to go number 3, but his teams, he rarely has a bad year.
Yep. Number 4, a guy that I actually like, but people don't like him, Dabo Swinney.
Okay, I mean, he's got a couple of national championships. He's been in national championship games and didn't win. And a bad year for them is 10 wins.
Yep.
Right? I mean, they had a bad year last year, but didn't they finish like 10-3?
Yeah. I think they've had back-to-back, like, subpar 10-win seasons.
Just 10-win seasons. And what would we do for back-to-back 10-win seasons?
Oh, my gosh. Build a statue, bro.
Now, I know it's an easier row to hoe but in the ACC, but still.
Number 5, Mike Norvell.
Okay. I wonder if last year, if that LSU kicker could make an extra point or a field goal, if people be saying that.
I would put Brian Kelly above Mike Norvell right now.
I would too. He has more
sustained success, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Number 6, Dan Lanning.
Really?
According to them, it's only been 2 years, but he's coming off a great coaching tree, and he's lost.
Well, the coaching tree shouldn't even factor into it.
The bugaboo was Washington twice. So
you had didn't he have a really bad decision in that game against Washington?
I believe he did. Yeah. Number 7.
So you're going to make him a top 10 coach already after 2 years when he hasn't won a championship, and probably the reason he didn't win was because of a horrific coaching decision.
Number 7, Steve Sarkisian.
I think it's premature, but I would have predicted it. I'm surprised you hadn't already said Lincoln Riley. Are they finally figuring that one out?
Well, I actually think this next coach on the list should be higher than Sark, in my opinion, based on what he's done in what conference he's in and the school he's at.
Lane Kiffin?
Yeah, Lane Kiffin.
I don't think I'd like to cover a Lane Kiffin team.
But the guy's a coach.
But if you don't think he can coach, you're just kidding yourself.
Yeah. So Lane Kiffin coming in at number 8.
Yeah, I think he's higher than that.
Number 9, Lance Leopold at Kansas.
Well, you're talking about doing the most with the least.
Yeah. And I'm going to tell you number 10. I'm not necessarily a fan of him, but if you put Sark at number 7, and this guy should be above Sark in my opinion, just because of what he's done. Ryan Day at Ohio State, and I'm not a big Ryan Day guy.
Yeah,
but did he inherit a really great program? Of course he did.
Still good,
but playoffs. He's number 10 according to this list.
Okay, I noticed the guy from Arkansas is not on there.
Sam Pittman. SEC Mike, where you at? And that goes back to my argument on that day.
Right.
1 year
does not. Anybody can have a good year.
And by the way, if this would have been done 2 years ago, and I'm sure it was, I don't have the article in front of me, would Coach Elko be on that list based on what he did at Duke?
Maybe so.
Right? But to me, sustained success makes you a great coach. And you cannot ignore being 500 for 99% of your career until this past year. You can't ignore that.
Look, Gene Chizik won a national championship. To your point about needing to be sustained success.
Yeah.
What's the guy say? Go Tigers all the time. Coach O won it.
That guy.
Oh,
Such a nice person.
But Schaefer, I like him.
He makes me laugh.
He won a national championship.
Yeah. But I think a national championship can be a tiebreaker between somebody who doesn't have a national championship if they're in the same tier.
But
it doesn't elevate you to top 10 for sure.
Right. I'm just using those examples to
and when I was defending Jimbo,
opinion. Yeah.
Okay, because
at that time
he was a top 5, top 10 head coach.
Absolutely.
He had sustained success. He had multiple 10-win seasons. He had a national championship. He had
and he was doing well at A&M.
He was ascending at A&M, and I did it after the 21 season, which was a hiccup season, where we felt at that time if Haynes doesn't go down,
right,
they win 9, and they could have won 9 or 10 anyway.
I will say this: they probably would have found another win, but they might have had another loss because I can't say without a doubt that they beat Alabama without Zach Calzada. That's the only game that I saw that I thought Zach Calzada played really well.
Yeah.
The only one. And that's pretty good one. Okay, so that gives him a certain amount of legendary status. But do you beat Ole Miss? Do you beat LSU? Do you beat Arkansas? Oh my God, do you beat Arkansas? It's Mississippi State if you have Haynes.
We all expect for Coach Elko. We all hope, and I expect for Coach Elko to be in the top 10 here. Maybe next year, but I think if I'm making a list, because if 1 year can get you on this list, right, then hopefully that year is for A&M. But if I'm making my own list of the top 10 of anything, I am not looking at 1 year. Now, that 1 year, I will look at it, and it'll be a part of the evaluation process. Where are they ascending?
So Brian Kelly wasn't on the top 10.
Not on this
list. See,
that's
just you wonder who's doing that list. I mean, I'm not a big fan of Brian Kelly's, but when you see the success he had, was it at Central Michigan, and then Cincinnati, and then Notre Dame, and he's been at LSU 2 years, and 1 year he wins the West, and the next year, I don't even know what their record was last year. I don't even know.
I think they won 9 last year. Yeah,
so it's a bad year for him now.
Yeah, but the bottom line is, it's like there's a reason Dabo. Like I think they use that methodology with Dabo. His arrow may be pointing down compared to what he was doing with national championships. Right? They haven't been a national championship contender in a couple years, but what he's done over his career. And what bad years are for Dabo Swinney right now, even though he hasn't evolved with transfer portal and a lot of other areas, right? But a bad year for him is 10 wins. He's absolutely a top 10 coach. Other coaches,
I'd still put him second.
And by the way, I do think because of last year, Sark is in the conversation for top 10. But I'm just poking holes in the methodology because I don't think 1 year should outweigh 10 years.
Larry Coker. Another one.
I believed in him for 1 year. 1 year, 1 year only.
So now if Texas has the kind of year they think they're going to have, then maybe I'm more open to that. I mean, I will give credit where credit is due. I just gave credit to Brian Kelly.
Yeah.
Right? I'll give credit where credit is due. But I'm with you. I think sustained success is the key to being recognized as, top 10 in your field. I don't think if a flash in the pan, you don't want to be a one-hit wonder. Right? I wish I could think of an example. Like, is Dexy's Midnight Runners one of the great rock and roll bands of all time?
Vanilla Ice, top rapper ever.
Thank you, Vanilla Ice.
Yeah.
Ice, Ice, baby.
Who's the like a country one-hit wonder guy? That dude.
That Billy Ray Cyrus.
What's his name?
The achy breaky heart guy.
The rap country guy.
Oh gosh.
You know who I'm talking about. Hold on. Help me out here.
The rap country guy.
He shares a name with another. God, it'll hit me. He's like all over the
Not that
YouTube.
Luke Bryan or somebody.
No. That guy's good.
Or Luke Combs.
No, Luke Combs good.
Jason Aldean.
No, those guys are good.
I don't like Jason Aldean for his.
When that song came out,
I came back.
Yeah, I was with you.
But he did the country rap, and I'm like, no, if you're gonna be rap, don't try to say yourself as country. But then he came back.
Little Nas X, your buddy. That's the country.
Little
rap.
Nas X.
Yeah. Oh, you're gonna hear him when we come back. Oh, you know him. Oh, you know him.
Yeah.
When we come back, Little Nas X. All right, let's hit a break. We'll do Around Aggieland as well.
That sounds like, if you need some medicine, get a little Nas-X.
I think you guys would be good friends. If you watch some YouTube videos of him, at the break, I want you to
clear
watch.
up those nasal passages.
You and Little Nas X hanging out at the Dixie Chicken. Or at Milliken Reserve.
Oh, yeah. I like Milliken
I could see you guys walk in there, jump roping, enjoying the deer.
I like deer.
Yeah. Do you like songbirds?
Yeah, I like them.
Do you
like... Who doesn't like songbirds?
Evening yoga.
I've done yoga.
Okay. Do you like summer camps? You've done those too, right?
Well, when I was a kid, I loved it.
I guarantee you love music festivals.
I like yoga pants. Fit real snug.
Do you like hiking?
I do like hiking.
Canoeing?
Oh, yeah, canoeing.
Kayaking?
Well, it's just like canoeing with, one seat. So
How about farm tours? You like to see farm stuff?
Yeah.
You're not against it.
I'm not against it. I like.
You're not necessarily for it.
I like eating what they produce.
100%.
Produce.
Do you like 2,600 acres of open space? And
I do love open spaces.
Do you like 30 miles of trails?
Yeah. Again, that goes to open spaces.
Do you have respect for the native landscape and wildlife?
Yes, I absolutely do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you like, I don't know, rabbits?
Yeah.
Turtles?
Sure. I don't have an issue with turtles. I like seeing them race.
Maybe it's not your mission in life, but one of your missions is to build a healthy community around nature? You're not against it.
I think that'd be great. I think it'd be great to have a really nice house on a nice trek of land.
So if I'm Mr. Country Music, you're Mr. Nature.
I am Mr. Nature.
You're Mr. Nature, and you can learn all about that at MillikenReserve.com. Not about Mr. Nature, but just about their awesome community.
I'm like Ric Flair. I'm
the Nature Boy.
Olin Buchanan.
You're the Nature Gramps.
Isn't that what he says? Woo?
Yeah.
Woo! Whoa! Or whatever.
The Nature Gramps. You can find that at MillikenReserve.com.
Whoa! Milliken Reserve.
MillikenReserve.com. Little Nas X in the background.
I'm just betting. I mean, I don't know.
Wait till it starts. There you go. This is country music.
I'm betting that this guy's never rode a horse in his life.
On the video, I believe he's on a horse.
David, I am so proud of you for knowing all this. Look at you.
Let me just tell you right now.
Mr. Gen Z, everybody.
I'm Mr. Country Music. This is a disgrace
Yeah.
to our music, OB.
Agreed.
And a disgrace to the rap industry as well, because I represent both communities on this show.
Johnny Cash must be rolling over in his grave.
That song sucks. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. It is a time for Around Aggieland, presented by Normandy State Bank. Normandy State Bank, rock solid banking. The website, normandystatebank.com. Kay Naegeli.
Yes, spring sports are in complete full effect. I have 11 sports to get to, so I'm going to try to roll through these. 11? There's a lot going on. Even volleyball and soccer are playing spring matches, so let's start there. Soccer will play a spring match in San Marcos on Saturday against A&M Corpus Christi as well as Texas State. And then volleyball will have a spring match also against Texas State, so best of luck to them. Both the men's and women's tennis teams will face Auburn on Friday and then Alabama on Sunday. Equestrian, as said earlier, garnered 8 all SEC honors, and Tana McKay was named SEC Co-Coach of the Year, so congrats to Coach McKay. Track and field, they split up this week, but Pat Henry's men's number one men's and women's squads, both ranked top there, are heading west to the West and East Coast this weekend to participate in the Brian Clay Invitational and then the Tom Jones Memorial Invitational, that is in Florida. Women's golf, the reigning SEC champion A&M women's golf team aims for back-to-back league titles for the second time in program history at the 2024 SEC Championships at the Pelican Golf Club. Best of luck to them. Also want to give an update on some women's basketball because I don't believe we've talked about it too much. If you are not familiar, India Rogers, she was a graduate senior guard. She declared for the WNBA draft, so best of luck to India. She will be great there. But additionally, 4 Texas A&M women's basketball players are in the portal. That is Janiyah Barker, KK Green, Malaya MJ Johnson, and Taniyah Hilton. So Barker is a pretty big hit for that group, but hopefully I have complete trust in Jodie Taylor that she will bring back some great assets. And then as well, y'all know baseball, softball play this weekend, but I do want to hit on Tyrese Radford was invited to the 2024 Portsmouth Invitational Tournament, which is showcasing the talents of senior college basketball players to professional scouts. So congrats to Boots.
Thank you, KK. Appreciate you. OB, I'm going to read this text as we hit break here. JW. LMAO. I like yoga pants. OB, the one and only.
Apparently, isn't there like stores that just sell those?
Yeah.
Like what's it called, Lululemon or something like that? So apparently a lot of people like them.
Yeah. They're tight like Wranglers.
Yeah, I wear my Wranglers kind of tight.
You taking a shot, bro?
What?
Is that a shot at me, David?
No.
Okay. I'm wearing Wranglers.
Do you wear yoga pants?
I wear tight pants too, bro.
Okay.
Billy makes fun of me for wearing my
I thought that was
skinny
a shot
pants.
at me. I'm just keeping you in line.
You ain't keeping me in line, bro. I'm about that life. When we come back, JB Moss next on TexAgs.
Okay.
There's chaos in the studio. So we had a meeting. JB Moss, hello, sir.
Hey, how you doing?
Right there.
Thanks for having me.
We had a meeting that Bronny apparently doesn't pay attention to, where Richard and I are discussing JB coming on the show, and we're like, that'd be great. We'll do JB and the baseball bunch, and then Bronny's like, what? You didn't tell me about it.
No.
Told me.
And then JB comes in here and begging us to go on with him because he's such an emotional animal.
No, I want the A team. I want the full A team.
I am the B team.
The funniest thing about
sure.
this,
and he's the Z team.
Yes, that's true. I am at the end. The funniest thing about all this, Nuño, is that man over there is always like, "You're cutting my airtime. You're cutting my airtime."
I don't like to cut other people's airtime.
And then when he's coming in, when he needs to come in, he doesn't want to do it.
No. I don't like cutting other people's airtime. I would never want to step on JB Moss's toes. This guy's a living legend in Aggie baseball lore.
He gave you
Up
a
to this
formal
point,
invitation. How would that be stepping on
I would
his
say
you would step on my toes if you didn't accept my invitation.
No.
Good point.
Yeah.
But people want to hear from JB. They hear from us all the time, right?
I will say the last time I was in the studio was with Gabe Bach, and it was a couple days after our loss to TCU in 2016. So today's a much better day than that day.
Well, good thing we got a guy running the show now that was in the other dugout that day.
What?
Oh, you were talking about
that
show.
not
this show.
Yeah, I thought you were
were looking at me
Nuño.
when you said that. I was like, wait, I worked for TCU? I don't remember that. Anyway.
Upgrades all around.
Jeez, Richard.
Whoa. I mean, I agree, but like, I don't take shots. All right, so let's talk about where things are here with this program, JB. I want you to start us off on the vibe, what you're seeing, what you think about this team.
Man, the vibes are great. I mean, it's all positive. How can they not be? We're talking about the number 3 team in the country. Their development and starting pitching this year has been great. And then, the 3 superstars at the top of the lineup. I mean, what more can you say? We're in a great place right now.
I started off the show with this note, guys.
Hey, you know who Olin looks like today?
Who's that?
2012 Ryan Swope.
Oh, the hair?
Yes.
Yeah.
The hair's insane.
And he's wearing like an unbuttoned long sleeve, a 3/4 shirt. Like you could see Swope walking around after making a few catches against Alabama. He's walking around Northgate,
like
in that exact look.
Yeah, and OB gives the people the look that Swope would give them too. Yeah, no doubt.
Same body type. Sure.
So I started off the show with this. This is the first top 10 showdown at Olson Field in Bluebell Park since 2016, and that was also a game you were a part of, or a series you were a part of against Vanderbilt.
Yeah, we were just talking about that in the back, and Cal Simons had a no-hitter that weekend, and it was a fantastic weekend. And I know it's a ring. Is it ring weekend here?
Sure
so
is, yeah.
Look, the crowds are going to be phenomenal. Like you said, it's a top 10 matchup, and it's certainly setting up to be a great series.
That Kyle Simons no-hitter, I was telling y'all in the back, might have been the fastest college baseball game I've ever been to where they played 8.5 innings. You were in and out. It was insane.
The final was 3-0, if I'm not mistaken. So, it's not like we were putting up a bunch of runs, but
it was one error away from a perfect game.
Yeah, I remember Nick Chorby's great catch in center field, and Kyle was always known throughout the season for just filling up the strike zone. He was strike 1, strike 2, just toe on the rubber, ready to rock. So that was a special day for sure.
I forget who we had on the show, but I think this came up, and it was like that game was an hour and 57 minutes or hour and 54. What was that, Jackson?
Dynamite drop in from Nick on his way out of the studio. Tom Hart, because he called that game.
Yeah, that's right. Tom Hart did it. Let's talk a little bit about this series from a player's perspective. I'd love to hear both of you guys, and I'd like Richard's thoughts as well. When you take on a top 10 team like that, all these series mean the same thing. All the games at the end of the season obviously mean something. But for the players, this matters more, right? When it's a showdown like this?
I mean, you're supposed to say no, but I mean, the answer is yes. You just can't help having a little extra adrenaline, right? I mean, you have more respect for your opponent. They're coming in here as a top 10 team, and look, Vanderbilt needs no introduction. I mean, what Coach Corbin has done over there, they're known for their starting pitching. They roll out first-round picks year after year, so. I mean, of course, it's going to mean a little more, and the guys are going to be amped up for this one for sure.
They talk so much about opening day mentality with this team, and that's kind of a Schloss theme every year is try to have an opening day 1-0 mentality every time you go out there. But like JB said, it's human nature. There's going to be a different feeling whenever you pull up to the facility today, right? Like we're playing Vandy at home. Like there's a difference when you roll up to the facility on days like today than there was on Tuesday against UTSA. Now, the beauty of that is with this team is that on a Tuesday night against UTSA or Texas Southern at home, when you roll up and you might not be firing on all cylinders mentally, physically, emotionally, the whole thing, because these SEC weekends are so draining. Maybe on a Tuesday night you're not firing on all cylinders. They're going out on Tuesday night and winning games still. And that, to me, is a testament to some of the things we've talked about. A, the talent on this ball club, the depth of it. And B, I think, JB, we're not giving this team enough credit for how tough and like mentally hooked up they are. Because how easy it would have been for them to drop one of these midweeks.
No, it's extremely easy. And look, it's a great point Bronny had. Physically, these guys are 18 to 22 years old, right? And you're asking them to play 27 innings, So physically, it's really not all that taxing to do. Mentally is what people don't really understand. It's emotionally draining. You've got large crowds. You've got, the incredible atmosphere, and you're fighting and scratching and clawing to win a ball game. So being able to be mentally mature enough to respond on a Tuesday night after a big series, that's the toughest thing. It's not so much a physical thing, in my opinion. It's more just mental maturity. And in my opinion, you got to have the pitching staff to be able to do it. I think it begins and ends with starting pitching. We hear Coach Slosh say that all the time. But you got to have pitching depth to win on Tuesday night. In 2016, we finished the year as number 4 national seed, and what separated us was, I believe, may have Richard check this, but I don't think we lost a game on Tuesday night. And what was so impressive about that is it's so hard to do. Like I said, it's just having the mental fortitude to be able to do that, to check in every single Tuesday night is hard to do and something we're very proud of.
And this team has gone on the road twice on Tuesdays against probably their toughest Tuesday night opponents of the year. I would argue UTSA is in that conversation. Lamar is also in that conversation. Yep. They're having a fantastic year. They go on the road to Austin. They beat the brakes off Texas. They go on the road to San Marcos. They beat the brakes off Texas State. So it's like, dude, when they know that they're going to be challenged, they turn it on and they really go.
Well, I think championship caliber teams bring the same mentality every
game. You're right. And I think we can say that this group does that. But you're not going to be sharp every Tuesday.
Sure, no. But
so
I'm
like
saying
when
the
you
mindset.
So I think too, and JB can speak to this, is like it's hard. I know as a player at McNeese State, we would come into Texas A&M or we'd go to LSU in the midweek with a chip on our shoulder.
No doubt.
Right? That's where everybody on those rosters wanted to play.
For sure.
So you are going to get their best punch. So I do think that you have to battle that too. Is like these guys are going to come in here super motivated to beat us and hang that on their mantle that they came in and beat a top 5 A&M team on the road.
No, you're exactly right. Look, it's something Rob Childress did a great job of while he was here. We would have our kind of left field circle up huddle before the game, and Coach would give us a little pregame, a last little nugget before the game started. And on Tuesday night, he would always tell us, he said, every single player in that dugout wishes they were in Maroon and White. So it's their World Series. It's their, they're playing the New York Yankees, so there's extra motivation in that dugout, and you better be ready to go, because if not, they're going to give it to you. So, it's just, like Bronny said, it's just the mental maturity of this team is what has impressed me so far.
You did the research?
I did the research, JB. In 2016, y'all lost 2 midweek games.
2 midweek games.
You've lost 4-3 at Rice and then 5-0 at home against Sam Houston, but y'all were also pretty good in 2015. Y'all went undefeated in the midweek then.
2015.
Well, those are
we lost
both
2 Tuesday games in 2 years.
Tuesday, y'all were the national number 9 seed, and then 2016, you were
number 4.
Yeah. So those are 2 really good teams, and
decent.
A lot of people would put those 2 teams that you were on in the top 5 Texas A&M baseball teams of modern history. Obviously, you go back to 1989, and everybody kind of puts that team on a pedestal. I think you'd have to put 2022 up there because of what they did. It was the best run in school history.
No doubt.
But those 2015 and 2016 teams would have to be right in the conversation. And I'm starting to nudge this 2024 team right up that list. 99, 93.
To me, I know that 1989 gets talked about a ton, and I didn't get to see the teams in the 90s, but I was here for the 15 and 16 teams, or at least followed them around. And the 2022 team should stand in a category on its own as most successful team ever. But as far as talent goes, Bronny, I think this team, that 16 team, and that 1989 team should probably be talked about and debated as which is ultimately the best, because they didn't go to Omaha. 1989 didn't go to Omaha, and this story's still being written.
Yeah, maybe the third time's a charm whenever you roll out a super talented roster at A&M. Maybe, and again, like I don't think that there was some kind of, I've said this before, I don't think there was some kind of TCU curse. I just think that, they had Schloss in their dugout was just able to manipulate a couple of things. And really, those series could have gone either way both years. The margins were so fine. But also, like, the calluses that you build in this league prepare you for stuff like that. So, like, those guys weren't scared to get into an extra inning affair in Fort Worth. Those guys weren't scared to get into a game 3 in a super regional here. They've done that all year. It's something that whenever you play week in, week out in this league, you really build some mental calluses to what you've got to go through in a game. And it's like, dude, you can't freak out about something that happens in the second or third inning because there's so much baseball to be played that if you mentally check out that early or you try to overcompensate and overdo early, it's a recipe for not the opposite of success. It's a recipe for failure.
What else can you say?
Yeah,
Ronnie nailed it.
Here's just a little note that Jackson put together for us. A&M has won 9 out of 10 games, and that one loss being a one-run game. Just to me, the trajectory is obviously arrow pointing up, but the ability to win close games, the ability to continue these streaks, Richard, what does it say about them?
They win in different ways, and I think that cannot be overlooked, right? If you have to mash your way to Omaha like they did in 2022, Coach Schlossnagle says it over and over. It's not sustainable. Yeah, it still doesn't compute how they did it. It was incredible, the best run in A&M history. But this team's finding ways to win in different ways, right? Tuesday night, they don't play their cleanest game, perhaps their worst game by far, and they still find a way to get the victory, right? You see Ryan Prager goes out, he'll throw you every now and then 7 1/3, 6 1/3 innings. Yep. You win a ball game 3-1, 1-0, stuff like that. Or like we saw on their trip to Gainesville, that Saturday game, they can give up runs early and then score a bunch of runs in a hurry. They do it in different ways, and that's what's so impressive. They are never out of a game.
Well, I think, too, when you say that Tuesday night they played their worst game of the year, I'd argue that they played their worst 3 innings of the year, and it's not even close. But outside of that, when you got past the 3rd inning, this goes back to what JB was saying about this team's maturity, their mental maturity, is Schloss said they didn't have no dugout meeting. They had no guys call team meetings in the dugout. They just kept playing.
Those are overrated, man.
Right. Like, what do you I'm in between on that because I've been a part of some dugout meetings where it was more like game plan stuff to talk to the team about game plan. Yeah. But I also think, like, what do you need to meet about when everybody knows you're making errors? That's not what you do. That's not the way you play the game. But from the 4th inning on, they were pretty stinking good. Outside of the base runner at 3rd, no outs in the 8th where they punched out 3 times in a row, that's bad. But outside of that, they were pretty stinking complete in that comeback. Obviously got a bunch of help from Jackson Appel. But
Chris Cortez, too.
Cortez, Brock Peary, Caden Sorrell had some huge at-bats, obviously the triple, but he also smoked a one-hop ground ball that Coach Schlossnagle talked about, just right at somebody for a double play. Like, I said it on the broadcast on Tuesday night, and I've said it with you, David. Because of the talent and experience on this team, you can show up to the ballpark one day, and you can have 6 of the 9 guys play pretty poorly, and you still win. Because the other 3 can pull you through it. And the beauty of that is when they all get going, who stops them? I mean, you better have a Hagen Smith on the mound. You know what I'm saying? You better have one of these guys at Vanderbilt's going to run out there. Is it Carter Holton on Saturday? He's got phenomenal numbers. Like, it's going to take some elite stuff to beat this club. And even these guys with elite stuff, they better be throwing it where they want to. Like, that's what this offense is.
Let's talk a little pitching. They rank first nationally in shutouts with 6, second in ERA 3.23, second in strikeouts to walk ratio 3.67, fifth in strikeouts per 9, sixth in WHIP, and 11th in hits allowed per 9 innings at 7.32, 11th in walks allowed per 9. So just overall, the continued success of this pitching staff, because when the season started, we were like, that looked pretty good. There's a little, but it's been sustained. It's been sustained in SEC play.
Yeah, I just think it's a testament to Coach Weiner. I mean, look, what I judge coaches on is when they come in, and we've seen production from a past player, right? So let's take Brad Rudis, for example. So this year, Brad Rudis is a completely different Brad Rudis than he was last year, right? And what changed? Well, Coach Weiner came in, right? And his ability to develop what's already on campus and how we've seen guys develop that have already been in the program is what's most impressive to me. And, you know, he keeps the mantra simple, dominate the strike zone. I heard Coach Schloss talk about the other day when you throw strike 1, right, assuming the umpire doesn't mess it up, You get the ball back in your glove 90% of the time with strike one or out one. So I mean, it's a simple, thing. It's hard to execute, but I think they're doing a great job, and I've certainly been impressed so far.
What I've been so impressed with is the dominate the zone. There's a theme. That's the theme of the pitching staff, is dominate the zone. And Coach Max Weiner has done a fantastic job of instilling that is our goal. Dominate the zone is our group, our pitching staff's goal. That is what we're going to be about. Now, individually, I'm going to take Richard, David, and JB, and I'm going to give you an individual plan of how you do that with your arsenal.
Your best plan.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's a team goal, but there's some real individualistic routes to get there.
It's that professional mentality.
Right. And he's provided each guy with those routes, and not just, hey, you throw hard, so you're going to be fastball dominant. No, Chris Cortez, you've thrown hard your whole life. You've thrown hard your whole life, and you haven't gotten the results you wanted to.
Right.
So how do we change that? Let's not make you just Chris Cortez doesn't just throw hard now. Chris Cortez sinks the baseball to his arm side. He really can wrap that slider around a left-hander's back foot and get swings and misses.
Yep.
He's landing a changeup and presenting a changeup. Like, he's now a pitcher. Like, he's more of a complete pitcher. And that, obviously, it takes a really skilled coach to get that across to a young man, but there also has to be buy-in, because you don't get to there. You don't get to where Brad Rudis is. You don't get to where Josh Stewart is in terms of remaking yourself without 100% buy-in and trust from the guy that you're talking to about it. So you've got to, as a player, check your pride a little bit.
No doubt.
Because you've been told one thing your whole life, and then this guy's coming in here to tell you something else. And you've got to be able to say, okay, let me trust this guy, and let's see what happens.
Any thoughts on the pitching?
It's been fantastic. Really enjoyable to go watch it. It's been night and day from the last couple of years. So
it's just nice to know that, for the most part, when A&M goes out defensively, that the other team is going to have to earn it.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like, they've had some bad innings, and who's not going to have some? They've walked, the first couple of innings against UTSA the other night, I think they walked 4 and hit 3. And then obviously you compound that with the errors. And I don't even look at the errors. There were 2 pitchers' errors, 2 throwaways by pitchers. But defensive errors, like with this team, they were fielding over 980 coming in. Like, that was an anomaly of a night. But you feel good about the other team. If they're going to put up a crooked number, they're going to have to get multiple hits in an inning. It's not because they're going to go walk, 3-run homer.
That's right. I mean, it's just statistics, right? I mean, the odds are in the pitcher's favor. You put the ball, and you make them put the ball in play. The odds are in your favor that you're going to get it out. The best average in the SEC was 400 right now. I mean,
was Condon hitting?
Charlie Condon hitting 600.
Well, before we let JB go, let's do a couple.
2 home runs yesterday.
Let's talk about a couple different players. First off, Caden Sorrell. You talked about defense and just his emergence here, especially the last few weeks. Start us off, Ronnie.
I would like JB to talk about him, because it's a freshman outfielder, his position he played, and he understands how difficult that transition is. And this kid keeps ticking up.
No, he definitely does. And I was on a Zoom call with Coach Slosh yesterday, and look, I think at the end of this whole thing, we're going to feel real lucky that we got Caden Sorrell to school. I think if he was more signable, I think that he wouldn't be here. And so, I mean, his development, I mean, I love his swing. I mean, no disrespect to Hayden Schott at all. I think he's a great baseball player, and I love his swing. But they have really upticked their defense in the outfield, putting Sorrell out there. I mean, the few plays he made in South Carolina were just phenomenal. And look, you can't discredit, I say this all the time, and probably comes off a little dramatic, but being able to do this at 18 years old as a freshman in this league against this competition, I mean, there's a reason so few people are able to do it. Number one, you're just not talented enough to do it, and number two, you're just not developed enough to do it. So, I mean, the future is very, very bright for him, and I'm excited to see him develop.
And the light doesn't always go on as quickly for some as it does others, no matter your talent level, right?
It took me 3 years.
Right. It took me about 2 years. Once I got from junior college to McNeese, it took me a whole year to figure out, hey, I got to
figure out if you can do this, man. I mean, it's like the jump from high school to college is it's the biggest jump there is. I mean, once you jump from SEC baseball to low A baseball, it's the same game. I mean, it really, truly is. But that jump from high school baseball, I don't care what level of high school baseball you're playing or what level of travel baseball you're playing, when you jump up to the consistency level of pitching, it takes a while. And you first got to find out, like Bronny said, like, hey, can I do this? Am I good enough to do this? And then once you start like, okay, grabbing a little bit of confidence, and then, you know, you're starting to feel a little bit better about yourself. And like Bronny said, everybody's on a different timeline for what that is. And it took me 3 years, and it sounds like it took Bronny a minute too.
And it kind of speaks to how special of a player Gavin Grahovic is.
Man.
Because like
Superstar.
he was thrust in from day one.
Yeah, he was.
And there's a role. I don't care how talented he is, and we all believe that Gavin Grahovic will play this game a long time. But that doesn't matter because there's still a roll of the dice of put that kid out there, and it doesn't go well for him early, and you shoot his confidence.
Can chew him up and spit him out like that.
And then he changes as a player. But Gavin, everything he does looks like he's 25, 26 years old. And
his mental fortitude.
And he's still getting better, like at third base. He still has some immature at-bats. I mean, he's 18.
Yeah.
You forget that because you watch him play day in and out, and he doesn't look that way. But what A&M has got is a guy that's going to play, like Coach Schlossnagle was talking about, you know, he didn't want to mention Wyatt Hensler by name, who's the grad transfer coming in next year from Penn, who just set the Ivy League record for RBIs, career RBIs. And he was talking about the future because Hensler plays third base, and he's like, well, I think we've got our third baseman. You know, Gavin can play anywhere, but to me, Gavin Grahovic is the Texas A&M third baseman until he's drafted out of here. Yeah. And that's just so hard to find. And they've got some guys in this high school class that if they make it to school, they're going to have similar stories, I think, here.
And I think this is back-to-back years of that. And Gavin, like Jace, it took him a little bit to figure it out, but this is back-to-back years of guys with the big lights as freshmen delivering.
It's a testament to Nolan Cain can really recruit. He's getting super talented guys in here, but the development plan they put these kids on is pretty impressive. And I still believe in this freshman pitching class. I know Isaac Morton wasn't great. He's been up and down, but we've seen he reminds me of Corbin Martin so much.
Yeah.
He reminds me of Corbin Martin so much.
That's quite the compliment.
And
Corbin's got electric stuff.
And so does Isaac. It's just reining it in, and he'll have an inning where he punches three, then have an inning where he walks three.
Yeah.
But you look at what Weston Moss continues to keep handing him the ball in high leverage situations. We haven't seen a kid named Caden Wilson much this year because of injury. It's 97 from the left side. Brett Antolik, I still like his future. So, like, there's still some guys we don't see pitch much that I like their future within the program. And when we may be looking at this roster in 2 years or a year from now going, man, this roster might be better than that 24 roster. And that's a testament to the job that Nolan Cain and Schlossnagle have done in building it.
Yeah, real quick. Bronny's exactly right. And something that struck me, kind of caught me off guard. Richard Zane and I were down on the field at Globe Life, game one, and I'm just visiting with the coaching staff. They're about to take in and out. They're getting ready for the game. And I asked Nolan Cain, I said, hey, like, you know, how do you feel? What's going on? I said, we're about to find out how good they are. And because, you know, it was the first step up in competition, playing Arizona State and USC. And Nolan Cain said, this is the most talented team that I've ever had. And, I mean, I think we need to realize where he came from, right? I mean, he's in purple and gold, and they roll out first-round picks over there in Baton Rouge. So, I mean, I think there's a lot to be said for that.
I got to defend Richard for a moment. There's a chat that came in. Tony Love, why is Zane dressed like Justin Leonard Masters tribute? That's burnt orange. That is not burnt orange. That's more of a...
It's more of like a red orange.
Redded, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm defending my guy. It's not burnt. So
yeah, I don't own any burnt orange. It's actually like the only orangish shirt I have.
It's actually, I didn't think it was orange.
Looks good, Richard.
Yeah, you've got some orange on too, JB. How dare you?
Repping Tiger Woods today, you know, Masters Week.
See, and then Obi got mad at me for like, that's what I want to know about. I want to know about Tiger.
Yeah. Who doesn't?
Bronny. He's like, move on.
He transformed the sport.
See, the thing is, nobody in the office would have made fun of my shirt, but somebody's coming in the 10 o'clock hour who will make fun of your shirt.
100% they'll find out real quick what happens when a guy wears a UFC shirt. JB, thank you, sir.
Yeah,
Appreciate
absolutely.
you.
Thanks for having me.
When we come back, Scott Clendenin and the continuation of the baseball bunch. Hello there. Continuing on here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. It is the baseball bunch. Scott Clendenin joining us now with Richard and with Bronny. Hey, Scotty. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing wonderful. Good morning, guys.
Hey, since you weren't here this last segment, I want to start off with you on just what baseball we've seen over the last week. I mean, we can go over this most recent stretch of really good baseball, but just what have you noticed in the South Carolina series and UTSA?
Who took my chair?
Sorry, what?
They swapped out chairs, and I got given.
Oh, I didn't see anybody doing anything.
That was trash.
Okay, back to baseball.
Back to baseball.
I thought that, and talking with Coach Loss, I thought Sunday in a loss, considering what I've seen happen to LSU in 3 or 4 conference weekends where they've been walked off in a run rule in Game 3, to see A&M battle like they did was as good as a lot of the things I've seen this year. And that was in a game they didn't win. So I thought that, when you play a team in SEC play that's backed up against the wall, and Sundays are always for something, and the response you got from South Carolina, you didn't blink. You got down, but you came back, and you made it a 9th-inning game, and that was huge. I am fortunate to see many of the 3 home run games being around the program in this point in time. And unless Dave Elmendorf hit a walk-off home run when he hit 3 home runs, no one had the day that Jackson Appel has had on a 3 home run day. Mm-hmm. It was an amazing night. Those don't come around that often. That's why there's so few of them. I mean, I watched John Curl do it in 3 at-bats against Texas, and Gus walked him the rest of the game. So I've seen a guy get it going and not have the game-winning impact. Because usually you score a lot of runs in those games. It's usually not, just 4 RBI. You're usually looking at one of those days where you have a huge number in RBIs as well. So his emergence with some power in the 4 spot to go around with what we had, and I think we talked about that it was about to come for him. You just add to the top 2/3, 3/4 of this lineup that makes it so difficult for anybody to pitch against this A&M team.
Bronny, anything you've noticed over the last week that in particular?
No, I think Scotty kind of nailed it. The crazy thing about Appel's homers were there was an east wind on Tuesday. You never see like a true east wind where it was blowing from the right field foul pole almost directly across the left field foul pole. So really the only balls that were going to carry were a right-hander hooking it toward the left field line or a left-hander hitting it the way Appel did. He did it 3 times.
Yeah.
You know how difficult that is to do? And when you're, Scotty, when you're in the booth, you have the track man right there in front of you. They were all coming off the bat at very similar launch angles and miles per hour. It was crazy how similar all 3 of the home runs were. Now, I think one of them, the second one he hit, was a no-doubter. Like, it was off the middle of the scoreboard. But it was still kind of within those ranges. I'm glad that was cool that you said that was the first 3 homer game where there was a walk-off.
I'm 99% sure because I talked with Jim Lawler about it for the 85 season when I was still in high school, and he did not think that either of those were a walk-off situation.
So, I mean, that just adds to the historic nature of the night. But, yeah, I mean, last weekend at South Carolina, we've talked about it a bunch. I love that this team was not satisfied with winning the series on the road because they felt like they had one in their grasp on Sunday to sweep the Gamecocks. That being said, I mean, there's no rest for the weary in this league. And if you are not ready to go, and I'm not saying anything that anybody across the street don't know, but if you ain't hooked up tonight and this weekend, Vanderbilt's going to come in here and run you out of your own ballpark. I'm not predicting that, but – and
that's who they are, though.
I'm not saying that A&M won't show up ready to play. There are a million indicators that would say that they are. But this is what you're dealing with. You're dealing with a team in Vanderbilt, which I didn't know. I wasn't sold on early in the year. But the more they've kind of figured themselves out, you're playing a team this weekend, much like yourself, that can win a national championship.
Richard, I want you to weigh in on Bronny's comments, I think Wednesday, and I'm going to paraphrase. But basically, we've seen enough to buy in, right? To believe that this team can
Monday.
So I just kind of want you to weigh in on the sample size we've seen, and enough evidence to really believe this team can go to those heights. It's okay to believe.
Well, I mean, they've played 33, 34 ball games already. That's over half the schedule.
I mean, this team, I think, will be in the 60s easily with the number of games they so half the year.
So they've played half the year already, so certainly, and they've won 3 straight SEC series. They've done it at home. They've done it on the road. Why wouldn't you be able to buy in? They're undefeated in the midweek. They're finding ways to win games in different ways, depending on the opponent, depending on how they play. They don't give up. Why wouldn't you buy into them? They're ranked 3rd in the country for a reason. Right? Like, it's not like, I don't know what you're waiting for if you're still on the fence about them.
Days like today are cool. Like, if you're an A&M sports fan, days like today, days like August 31st coming up at Kyle Field, those are cool days.
Yeah.
Why would you ruin days of your life, cool moments in your life? There's a lot to look forward to this weekend.
There is.
Why dampen that in any way, shape, or form because you're worried about the expectations level of this team and what you've experienced in the past? Like, to me, that's a life decision that you're deterring fun in your life by choice. Like, hey, it's okay to get fired up about this baseball team. It's okay to get fired up about the football team if they're playing well. That's okay. Like, there's a certain, and I think just based off the reaction I've been able to read on our message boards and talking to people in town, I think there are plenty of folks walking around Bryan College Station that are plenty fired up about this Aggie baseball team. I really do. There's a small sect of them, though, that will not allow themselves to get happy because they're so worried about what might happen if I get happy.
They're just waiting for the other shoe to drop, right?
Yeah.
And so you're not going to take any enjoyment in a team until they get to what point? Until they're named a top 8 national seed? Until they win a regional? Until they win a super regional? Until they get to the championship series in Omaha? Like, where's the fun in that? If you're just jumping on the bandwagon at the end, where's the fun in that?
You didn't enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
And even if A&M only won 1 game this weekend, nothing about playing Vanderbilt would make me change my mind on where this team can ultimately end up.
Right.
Because both of these teams have the pedigree, have the talent, and have the opportunity to do that. I understand that your frame of reference is based off last year, but Kentucky ain't thinking that. Kentucky's on the ride. Okay, they're thinking, hey, we've put together a ball club that can go do these things. Across the street, I know they're thinking they put together a ball club that can go do these things, but they have to do it every single day. And I think that if they do it as often as they can, they're going to be in the position they need to be in to be one of the top 8 national seeds.
Jim Schlossnagle said it before the season even started. It may have been during one of his fall press conferences about the expectations for this program. And that if you come here and you're worried about the word national championship, this ain't the program for you anymore. They're changing that. This is what you have to walk around with every day, and it can't overwhelm you as a player in the program, and it certainly shouldn't overwhelm the fan base. Like, and again, I think I'm probably talking to 5 or 10 people, so I probably should just leave it alone. But man, if you're an Aggie fan and a baseball fan, but just an Aggie fan, and you can't go to the ballpark this weekend and have a lot of fun watching this team play, I would question whether you're really an A&M fan or not.
All right, let's hit a break here. We'll come back with more. You're listening to TexAgs Radio, presented by David Garner's Jewelers. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Auto Insurance Studio, the baseball bunch. Got Scott Clendenin, Ryan Brauninger, and Richard Zane. Let's talk about Ryan Brauninger and how brilliant he's been so far this year, and obviously he'll be top of mind when we start this weekend, Richard.
I mean, the stuff's not overpowering, right? Like you see so many SEC aces have the 95, 97 mile an hour fastball. Like, I mean, the first guy that comes to mind, like he's not Hagen Smith, he's not Paul Skeens, obviously he's left-handed, but he finds ways to get it done, and he's in the strike zone. He's getting guys out, whether it be weak contact or the strikeout. And he has been the tone setter for A&M's pitching staff, and every single weekend he's gone out there. And I was talking to Scott and Bronny in the break. I think you went and grabbed more coffee?
No, I went to the restaurant.
More coffee would have been a good move too. But I think Prager's start tonight is what's going to decide this series and whether or not A&M is going to win or lose this series. Because if he is the Ryan Prager we've become accustomed to seeing and he gets you 6 or 7 innings, you have a really good chance to not only win this game, but also save much of your bullpen for usage on Saturday and Sunday. And Ryan Prager has been a revelation for a pitching staff and a organization program that hasn't really had reliable pitching in the last couple seasons.
Well, in my 3 things I want to see, that was the first thing I said. I want Ryan. It's basically the same thing, Richard. I want to see him as the tone setter for the weekend. If he sets the tone, they find a way to win this series.
I would disagree.
Okay.
Here's why. We're going to play Southwind baseball this weekend. Vanderbilt's not a team that has run a bunch of balls out of the yard, but that doesn't matter at Olsen Field when this Southwind's going to be going like it is. I think the ability to get this, if you can hand the ball tonight deep into the 5th, 6th inning to Evan Aschenbeck, you feel really good about you winning. But I also know that 2 mistakes can lead to some crooked number innings. And it's on the flip side, too, for Vanderbilt's pitching staff with this A&M offense. But when I look at Vanderbilt as a team, I'm going, the one big blemish that stands out on their schedule is the away series at South Carolina. And Founders Park is a really nice place. Their fan base, they weren't there last weekend because of the Final Four, women's Final Four. But when they're packed in that place, it's tough. It's a tough venue to go and win at. It ain't a tougher place than Bluebell Park. So is Vanderbilt played enough baseball now to right the ship on the road?
Mm-hmm.
Because if they haven't, this place can suffocate them. This fan base can suffocate them, right? And I wouldn't expect a Tim Corbin coach team to be intimidated by anything. But when I look at what they've done, Scotty, that is the big blemish.
And the flip side is what they did at LSU. Now, do we know if LSU's better than South Carolina or vice versa? We don't know yet. Okay, they both are having seasons. South Carolina right below 500. LSU's been pushed down far because of what happened last weekend when they lost 2 out of 3 to Vandy. I think when you have the back-to-back weeks where you're on the road, like A&M is going to experience, I think coming up,
is it Ole Miss?
It's LSU and Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Okay. Your success in the first weekend is directly correlating to what happens the second weekend. They just went to Baton Rouge. They won a series. They're going to come in here and expect some success and kind of wash away what they did at South Carolina. But it's still, they can be had because they're not as good on the road, playing on grass, not playing in their kind of quirky ballpark, not playing on artificial surface. They come and they have to make a little bit of an adjustment. And this ballpark, because it is going to play small this weekend, people don't realize this around the SEC. This is like the legitimate ballpark of the SEC. The numbers aren't funny on the fence. It's not real short to center field like you saw last weekend in South Carolina. For some reason, it turned around and blew from the north, and Coach blew in, and it was just like crazy that they would show up and there would be a wind blowing into their face. But it's still going to take Vandy doing something they really haven't done a whole lot of, and that's have a guy put a charge into one. A&M's got to stay away from the free base runner, and they've got to take advantage of a Vandy pitching staff that normally doesn't walk a lot of people.
Can you look up, Richard, or maybe we have it right here?
Yeah.
Vanderbilt's offensively, how much do they strike out compared to how much they walk? Because it's not a team full of, there's no Spencer Jones, Dansby Swanson. There's not even, R.J. Austin is a Enrique Bradfield comp, but he's not Enrique Bradfield. So, and there's not a Tony Kemp or J.J. Bleday.
Mike Yastrzemski.
Are you going that far back?
He's not that far back.
Oh, I'm thinking.
You're talking about the
Carl Yastrzemski.
But Vanderbilt's typically got a big right fielder, a big first baseman that can really bop, and they don't have one out on this club. There may be one coming in this young kid that they've started to play, but they are a more contact, line balls in the gap. They hit a bunch of doubles, but I don't know how much they strike out.
They've struck out 100 times in 12 SEC games. A&M's at 119, but they've walked 39 times. And then you look at A&M, who has walked 54 times in SEC play.
So that just kind of lends itself to their
contact.
They make contact. So the Aggie defense probably going to have to be pretty good this weekend.
Yep. Let's hit a break. We'll come back with more. You're listening to TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio.
Or no?
I'm fine. Hey, everybody, TexAgs Radio. That's called Chatter. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Okay, I wanted to get into how you would pitch this lineup. Yesterday on the fan show, something came up, and I'm just curious how you would pitch especially 1, 2, 3 of this lineup. Scott.
Against A&M?
Yeah, against A&M.
I think you have to live on the edge. I don't think you do anything center cut. And if you miss, it's not when their hands are extended. I think you got to be inside. I think you got to get lucky. And now, but see, I think that changes if Appel, if this is what he is going to be going forward, more than just a gap to gap doubles guy. If this is him clicking in, because I think we've seen that in his past in some of the non-conference games that Penn played, and in the NCAA tournament, where he can get on a run going against whoever the pitching staff is. If it's not just 1 through 3, it's 1 through 4. It gets dicey to have a good plan.
And
Burton puts together good at bats, shots heating it up. It's not
I
just
think
1
both
through
of
4.
those. I think both of those are going to hit more homers. Like I was just saying that there's more homers in the tank for all 3 of those guys.
Yep.
Like I fully expect Teddy Burton to have a weekend where he hits 3 homers, and he starts pushing his season total up toward 10. That's what he's done his entire career. Shot 2. How I would pitch this A&M lineup is kind of the opposite. I'd fill up the zone early, because they usually are taking early in counts. You better get ahead. And then I can start nibbling and picking. For the first thing, Braden is so good. Like, I think people try to get Braden out elevated with heaters late, because he does work a little bit up playing to him, but he's so good at staying behind them and shooting them out to the opposite field, at least left-handed. But I do think that they try to get him up late, because you can get some pop-up out of him. Again, you better get it there.
Right.
And then there's still a roll of the dice if you throw it up there that he's going to get above it, like he did in opening night against McNeese and hit a 112-mile-an-hour missile out to the right center field gap. But I would throw as many decision-making breaking balls away from these guys as I could if I was up in counts.
Okay.
Make them make a decision on the breaking ball that starts on the outer third and is going to end up a ball. But that's like the only spot where I've seen, okay, they will get a little bit chasey in those scenarios.
But they have to be behind in the count.
I'm
saying the batters have to be behind in the count.
Yes.
Excuse the question, Richard, but do you think Braden's due? Is Jace due? And again, Braden didn't hit a home run. That's the only thing he didn't do. But
aren't they always do? Those guys up to the plate, I always think you could always see something special, right? And I mean, yeah, they can go off at any moment for sure. Whether or not they're due, yes, they're always due. Even
it's so
if
funny how people
3 times in a game.
People are like, man, Jace is slumping. And Richard had a stat thing. He's had hits in like 14 of his last 17 games. He's walking a ton. He homered against South Carolina.
Right.
If there's no wind blowing in,
He was that double against UTSA. It's now hits in 7 of his last 9.
7 of his last 9.
It's Camarillo. People want to say Ali Camarillo is slumping. He's on like a 9-game hitting streak and has hits in 18 of his last 19.
But I think he's been on base 15 straight games.
But with Jace, everybody expects him to hit homers all the time. And Richard, he got some flack in that thread. Or like, well, what was his average a month ago? Well, if Jace was going to hit 330 or 340 like he was to start the year, he would have been putting up Charlie Condon type of home run numbers. That's never really been who Jace is. If Jace can flirt or in that 290 to 310 range, he's one of the best power production players in A&M history already. But he could have had 3 homers in that game against South Carolina. Like all 3 of those balls he hit in that game, in that finale, off the bat, I thought they were all 3 homers. And he's going to have one of those days where he does what Jackson Appel did on Tuesday, where he hits 3 homers in a game. I'm fine with what Jace is doing. I'm totally fine with what Jace is doing. Jace, I think when Jace walks to the plate, and I've known Jace a long time, when he walks to the plate and goes, I'm the best dude here, and I'm about to show everybody I'm the best dude here, he is. Like, he is the best dude there.
But he doesn't get out of himself when he does that.
No, but that's just a swagger he walks to the plate with.
But that's what I'm saying. There are a lot of guys that would swing at pitches that Jace doesn't swing at that lead to bad outcomes to chase that home run.
He's done a much better job of laying off this and not swinging through or learning his lesson in at bats. Like, he's adjusting way better this year.
Yeah. So they're always due.
Always do.
Always do. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Scotty, good stuff.
Good seeing y'all, guys.
Prediction, Teddy Burton, big weekend.
Big weekend for Teddy B.
Ags take 2 out of 3, and it comes down to a Sunday decision game, rubber match with Evan Aschenbach on the mound.
Chris Cortez has one game this weekend where he looks like he did on Tuesday night.
I hope so. I hope you're right. Thank you, gentlemen. When we come back here on TexAgs Radio, Billy Liucci will be in studio. We've got a lot of football to get into. He was at spring practice with me yesterday. Yes, sir.
You're going to put him in a hold?
I mean, if he tries me, yeah. He'll find out.
Yeah.
I have muscle reflex. Like, it's just muscle memory. I reflect and it's over.
I can't wait. Put him in a full Nelson.
I kind of hope somebody does try me. Just kidding. It's TexAgs Radio. We're back here on TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We are here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Appreciate everybody listening in here on the program. We'll probably be calling Billy Liucci on the phone here in a minute. But before we do all that, let's check in at the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Jackson, what's up, man?
Nothing much. I'm excited. I know we were talking about the Masters earlier.
Yep.
I'm excited personally to watch Tiger. I have a kind of controversial opinion. I don't even know if it's really that controversial. I think he's one of the greatest athletes of all time. I think you could argue.
Okay. Sure. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just, how do we quantify what an athlete is, I guess?
Solely based on his run. When he was young and when he went on his run, won however many majors he won, I think he probably could be considered one of the best athletes of all time.
So when I think of athlete, I don't think of Tiger Woods, although I think he is an athlete, okay?
Yeah.
So I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just telling you how I look at it. I look at it more in the respect of Bo Jackson. That's an athlete. Deion Sanders, an athlete. Floyd Mayweather, athlete. Like, there's a movement, there's a rhythm, there's a multiple angles to it that, to me, make you one of the greatest athletes. Michael Jordan, greatest athletes. Greatest performers, Jordan's in that. Kobe's in that. Tiger's in that, right? There's, and I'm not saying that Tiger is not one of the best athletes. I just don't think of him in that respect. Maybe because of the sport he plays.
Yeah, but the one thing all of the athletes that you just mentioned have in common is that they all change the sport that they play, and they all revolutionize the sport.
I'll give you that.
But, I mean, while we're waiting to go in this next segment, I can go around the SEC if you want.
Sure. I'm just looking at this from this website that says top 10 athletes of all time. I'm just going to read this real quick and see if Tiger's on this list, okay?
Okay.
Number 10, Roger Federer. Okay. Number 9, Bo Jackson. Did I mention him earlier?
Yeah, obviously. He's got to be up there.
Number 8, I'm not going to say his name, Messi. Number 7, Babe Ruth. I don't put Babe Ruth as he pitched and he hit home runs, so I guess so, but I just don't look at him and think athlete, but sure. Jim Thorpe, absolutely athlete. Michael Phelps. Yes? No?
Yeah, I mean, well, okay, hold on. Pause. Because I feel like now you need to break. If you're going to do a top 10 athlete of all time, I feel like it needs to be broken up into past and modern era because Babe Ruth and LeBron James are very different
100%. Usain Bolt's on this list.
Yeah.
Wayne Gretzky's on this list. Muhammad Ali's on this list. Michael Jordan. I think LeBron should be on this list, no doubt. So this is from ICEF, which is the International Certification of Excellence in Fitness. So, and this other one from Give Me Sport has Michael Phelps on there, Usain Bolt, Wayne Gretzky as well. And ESPN also has one recently with Michael Jordan, Babe Ruth, Muhammad Ali, Jim Brown, Wayne Gretzky. So I think sustained greatness is on that list, and that's why Tiger would be on your list. I get that.
Yeah.
All right, let's do around the SEC.
So Arkansas baseball is really good. If you haven't been paying attention to college baseball, Arkansas picked up an 8-2 win over San Jose State on Wednesday night and won its program record 23rd consecutive win at Baum-Walker Stadium. With those wins, the Razorbacks improved to 29-3 overall in the season. I think they're the only team above us in win-loss percentage, according to NCAA. Their best 32-game start in program history. Arkansas's 29 wins through its first 32 games of the season surpassed its 27-2 record in 1982 when head coach Dave Van Horn was the team's starting second baseman and the Southwest Conference Newcomer of the Year. The SEC also seems to be well represented in almost every other sport, but especially when we're talking about track and field and cross country. 18 SEC track and field and cross country teams ranked nationally by the USTF CCCA. Man, that's hard to say. A&M holds the top spot in men's and women's currently. 24/7 Sports released their men's college basketball way too early top 25 rankings for the 2024-25 season. The SEC teams that they mentioned are Alabama at number 5, Tennessee at number 7, Auburn at 11, Florida at number 17, and the Aggies at number 23. And then finally, before making the trip to College Station today, Vanderbilt's Jaden Davis led all SEC hitters with a .583 average this week, helping lead the Commodores to a series win over ranked LSU in Baton Rouge. Davis went 7 for 12 in the series and drove in 8 runs with a home run and 3 doubles. In Game 2 at LSU, Davis hit a go-ahead, a 2-run home run in the top of the 8th to give the Commodores their first lead since the 3rd inning and help even the series. And then in the finale, Davis went 3 for 4 with a pair of doubles, 2 RBIs, and 2 runs scored as Vandy run ruled the Tigers in 8 innings to win the series. So hopefully our guys can shut down Jaden Davis because he seems like he's a little bit hot right now.
Yep. A couple of text messages to get into. Here's Dell and Tabor. In a top 10 matchup at Olson Field, the Fighting Texas Aggie baseball team are the spring version of Friday Night Lights. And I can't disagree with that at all. It's going to be an awesome atmosphere. Hopefully we see a bunch of you here at Olson. And Billy Liucci, by the way, is in the lobby on the phone, so we don't need to call him, guys. Another one that came in here, this one's from Julie in Houston. We are going to the game on Sunday. Can't wait to support this team in person. Watch every game on TV. Gig 'em. Julie, that's awesome. It's going to be great. It's going to be fun. Like, look, I think the way the baseball bunch summed it up is perfect. Like, this is cool. This is, like, think about it for those of you who are more football guys than baseball guys. Think about what a top 10 showdown looks like at Kyle Field, right? Like number 2 versus number 3 versus number 6 in this baseball world, right? The atmosphere should be awesome. You know, the stakes are extremely high. A&M is still trying to win the SEC. Nothing is done. I think OB mentioned them being 4 games back of Arkansas, but the atmosphere should be fantastic this weekend. And with that, Billy, they called it. They called it.
What'd they say?
They said you would get the look and mention something.
UFC, huh?
Mm-hmm.
You're really trying to present around town
as
a fighter.
An image, yeah.
I feel like because I was with you that day with the waiter was like,
oh yeah.
Oh man, are you an MMA fighter? And
I said
major. No. Well, you said I'm a little bit.
I know. I said I take classes.
Yep.
I'm not a fighter.
But I feel like that's how you're trying to present. It'd be like if I was just walking around in a jersey of some sort.
It's different.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's so over the top.
I don't think when you wear a jersey, people think, "Oh, that guy plays baseball."
That's what I'm saying.
You don't think there's
it's UFC stolen valor.
You don't think that there's a little hesitation when people see this?
That's what I'm saying. You're stolen valor.
Well, I want to tell you a story if you don't mind.
I would love to.
I've actually told this story before.
Did Dana White give you that?
No, we're buds though. I was at a youth soccer game where somebody was talking to my children. Okay, and well,
I was about to make a joke, but I don't. Yeah.
Like not being nice to a play my son was involved in. Okay, and it was actually a woman who was yelling at first, and then her husband said something to me, and I turned around and I said, "Are you talking to me?" And
like
I had
De Niro, you talking to me?
And I had
you talking to me?
Talking to me, and I had my Brazos Valley MMA shirt on, and in front of my friend Philip, this guy's like, "No, it's good, we're good." And I pointed at the shirt.
Sounds like a Larry David skit.
Well, it happened. So you know what? Maybe I am walking around, and I might walk around with a fanny pack.
Then I'd call you Sandhop.
Does he have one?
Or Clendenin.
We'd have different.
Clendenin, my bad.
We'd have different things in our fanny pack.
Clendenin's a big fanny pack.
He's got like
guy.
Pencils and like notepad paper. I'll have other stuff in mine.
All right, guys. So
hey, can we talk about?
I don't know what to talk about at this point.
Well, I would like to ask you, and tell me if this is okay to talk about, the night you met O.J. Simpson.
Oh, well, yeah. That was, we've talked about it. I'll do the condensed version. It was actually after an A&M coaches night. A very surreal, weird, because it was before he was. So here's the thing. A real surreal night. We go to coaches night. And then we go from coaches night. It was my friend Mike Henderson who puts on the Dallas coaches night every year. It's like his Super Bowl every year. I tell him, and it's just incredible event up there. But when it's all over, me, him, and a couple. Fish Fix, Melissa Gary, and a friend of mine, Amy Barron, and they were at the time. They were there. I forget if they were still playing soccer or just done, but they were they had athletes go to the thing, and I think Harrington may have been with us as well, Chris. And we all went to people were staying at the W Hotel there.
Yep.
So it was like a Monday night, Tuesday night, whatever. Lobby bar. There's like 8 people in the whole thing, a bunch of chairs and couches, and I go up to order a drink. I look to my right. Literally standing right here is O.J. Simpson. And I just go, O.J. Simpson. That's all I said. And hey man, how you doing? And what's your name? And then fast forward, and he's like, what are you doing? And I said, I'm here with my friend. What about you? I'm doing this interview, whatever. So if you remember, he did some unhinged kind of interview in Dallas with some lady.
Yeah.
Local, like it was like on YouTube, whatever.
It was a big deal. Yeah, I remember that.
I don't know if it was the one where he acted all crazy, but which. So then he says, "Do you mind if we, come sit down, join y'all?" And I don't know what to say. I'm like, "Oh yeah," and it's him and his publicist or whatever. The guy's name was introduced as Charlie Tuna.
Oh wow!
So OJ and Charlie, the Juice and the Tuna, sit down. And I mean, it's 2 hours. 2 hours.
Right.
Talking about the Naked Gun. My buddy Mike had
yeah.
read his book, so they're talking about his mom. And, well, somewhere along the way, I will say that he did, if I would have been a better reporter, he did give relationship advice to the girls. And this was a little chilling. He did say, don't ever marry someone that you love more than they love you. He said, because you'll always be chasing that love and it'll drive you crazy and make you do crazy things. He did say that.
That's weird thing to bring up with a guy you just
met.
met.
And a couple of us just kind of went like this, like, but it got going to where back in the day, I used to like say if you were like Seth or Steve and they're playing, I would collect like those little mini helmets from my office and get them. Like if Seth played with Heisman winner or Steve or Dan, and I'd collect these Heisman helmets, which still to this day, I don't have John David Crow, which is just sin. But I had them, and that was like my office decor back in the day. This is like 15 years ago, whatever it was. Well, Mike mentioned something. Oh, Billy has it. And, and OJ goes, man, I'll get you, do you want a USC or? And he's like, USC. He goes, do you like Lawrence Taylor? And I said, Lawrence Taylor is my favorite play. It was either him or real Jets fans remember Mark Gastineau.
Oh, heck yeah.
I'm like, yeah. And he goes, I golf with him every day. I'll get you a signed Giants jersey, and I'll get you a USC helmet. I'll get you a Bills jersey. I'll sign it 2,000 yards. Charlie, get his number. So he had my number. Okay, bye. They go, I'm going to get you that stuff as he's walking away.
Yeah. You're still waiting for it?
Well, a few weeks later, and you could look it up and do the timeline. I think it was, all I know it was like Sumlin's first year at U of H because I called him the next day on the drive home. And they had me on speaker, and I was telling the story. So I remember, and Fran, I think it was Fran's last year.
Okay.
We're driving home. So that year, that summer, so Coaches Night's like June or July. It wasn't that long after that, it pops in the news that OJ and this other guy, the other guy that was with him, get arrested.
In Vegas. September 2007.
For the kidnapping, armed robbery, whatever. Yep. But what were they going for? If you remember that story.
Memorabilia.
They were reclaiming memorabilia
for you.
That was his.
He was doing
yours.
I'm
just saying. I don't know. But that's what they were. I don't know. That's what they were getting.
I never met OJ, but I also was very close to him in the same city at the Candle Room.
Oh, in Dallas. We talked about that the other day.
Sure
it might have been that same weekend.
I knew you by that point, so
yeah,
I doubt it.
But I don't know. I don't know if you, but anyway, it was I've talked about it after that documentary. It was surreal because you saw all of it at once just in that time of talking. You could see where it's like, man, that just, you kind of got like a weird, I'm surprised he said that. But also you saw like the charisma and like the what made him so.
Yeah.
But you knew what we all think we know, and you knew that. And
but
it's
you remember
like,
what you felt about him before that whole thing? America loved that dude. He wasn't The Rock, but he was loved.
Yeah, I tell people that too. It's like, I mean, you pick an athlete, and from like our era. He was a little before, but pick an athlete or pick the younger people. Pick one. Like, who do you think's the most? I mean, it would be like
Barry Sanders, or
no? Like, I'm talking about like popularity wise. It's like what you see with like Travis Kelce now, or J.J. Watt, or like it's Mahomes. Like with the commercials and the
movies.
I saw something that said at one point he had like 24 sponsors.
Was it Hertz? Was his?
That was a big one. But anyway, yeah, movie. It really like it would be like any of those guys, being involved in a double murder case.
Sideline reporter for NBC.
Makes no sense. It's crazy, but I mean, that's a weird passing, I think, for a lot of people, because you're so used to just saying, prayers, then a lot of people don't want to do that because they want to pray for Ron and Nicole.
Yeah.
But what I think of something like that when it's people that have committed any kind of heinous act, or we believe they have, which you can pick what you want to believe. It's like religion. Pick what you want to believe. But I look, I think the evidence is pretty overwhelming. But you still think about their family, like because there's got to be people in his family that don't believe he did it and will go to their dying day not believing that because it's a loved one, it's a relative, it's a grandpa, it's whatever. Right. Those people are really sad today. So like it's tough in the world of all the jokes and everything, and maybe that person doesn't deserve your sympathy. Maybe religiously you believe they do, but there is a family. There is a family, and there are people that don't believe he did that loved him.
I think Houstonians and people from New York, right, have I don't want to say connection, but we have a special spot in our memory for that whole thing because
the Rockets, that's right.
The Rockets 94 championship, breaking into the game to cover that chase.
That was the first break-in to a sporting event, or that was almost like the first true TV kind of viral, like there wasn't social media, but like viral moment of just, you can't really explain it to people now. They don't understand because that kind of stuff seems fairly normal until you get a real grasp on like exactly how famous and iconic he was.
Jackson, do you understand what we're saying here? Like the 94 NBA finals are going on. Rockets are playing the Knicks. I forget which game it is. And in the middle of the game, they break into coverage of the chase of OJ. And
the juice is loose.
Yeah, with Cowlings. Was it?
Al Cowlings.
Al Cowlings, yeah.
But like Marcus Allen was
involved,
all up in. It was theater.
It was
like just the theater of the absurd. That Kato Kalin guy. Shapiro, they were all, the Kardashians.
Johnny Cochran became a celebrity because of it.
They got a Seinfeld character based off.
Jackie Childs.
What was it?
Jackie
if the
Childs.
Bra fits.
Yeah.
Whatever, yeah.
Right.
Sue Ellen Mishke.
Let's get to some A&M sports when we come back here. Right now,
we could run a little over today if you want.
All right. Costa Vida time. Fresh Mexican Grill is going to have their concession stand open, obviously, this weekend against Vanderbilt. They've had it all baseball season long, right there on the third base line. And, they have great food there. If you go to the main store, you're going to love it. If you go down the third base line into that concession stand, you're going to love what they have out there. So just at Olson for right now, just so you know what they have. They have chili lime chicken and sweet pork burritos. They've got also the sweet pork Baja bowls. They have the lime chicken. They have the chips. They have the queso. They have the key lime pie. And I don't know, it was a little cold this morning, so maybe it'll be cold tonight if that's the case. They'll have some Mexican hot chocolate out there. And when you go to the store, you can get that home run combo. And it is a favorite of Jason Lavalette and, of course, Ryan Targach, number 12 out there. That home run combo is an entree with sweet pork enchiladas smothered in house-made queso with rice and beans and a large drink for $11.99. So basically 12 for number 12 out there. You want to go out there to Costa Vida. They're in South College Station. They are Aggie owned and operated. Holly is fantastic. When you go there, they have all the food that you want. Fresh Mex done the right way. And I'm telling you, it's a great place to go for morning meetings because they have breakfast there. The breakfast tacos are fantastic. Obviously, for lunch, get yourself some quesadillas, come back, and get yourself a Baja Bowl for dinner. It's so good. It is in South College Station, 4501 Mills Park Circle in South College Station. It's Costa Vida.
Tell them that.
Hey, it's TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. I'm not sure if you've seen.
Get with these hats.
I don't know if you've seen your calendar this weekend, but there's Vanderbilt's in town. Top 10 showdown.
I'm ready, man. I'm fired up. I passed up an out-of-town trip for this one.
Is that right?
This is a big, yeah. I was going to sneak out for just a night, if not two. But we got off weekends where there's road SEC series.
Yeah.
Okay. This one's too big. You look at that, number 3 versus number 6. Crazy thing is, if you keep up your what you're doing on the diamond right now, there might be an even bigger one awaiting you here about a month from now here. But this will be a great test for this baseball team. It's funny to me because I felt like earlier in the year, like a few weeks ago, I felt a little undercurrent, and maybe Bronny was leading the charge, and he'll backpedal now, but that this Vandy team wasn't quite as good as they've been, in years past. I'm not saying they're going to go win the whole damn thing or that they're as good as those national title teams, but they're number 6.
Yeah, they're top 10 for a reason.
We were 4 SEC series deep. They're still there. They're obviously really good. They went in and won 2 out of 3 against LSU this weekend and absolutely hammered LSU in Game 3. It's a damn good baseball team. Obviously, one of the elite programs under Corbin. They've been great for a long time, and this is a showdown now. It's the biggest series of the year so far for A&M. We thought it was Florida. Because you're this much deeper into the season, and A&M has ascended to 3, Vandy's still sitting there squarely in the Omaha mix. I think these are 2. Well, I think you have to keep Tennessee in there still, obviously, in their top 5. These are 2 of your 4 best teams in the conference, along with the Vols and Arkansas, right? I know Kentucky's record, and they're good.
Yeah.
They're good. There's a lot of good ones. But you look at who Kentucky's played thus far, I still think these are the 4 best. And this is a battle, I think, if either team wins a series, even 2-1, obviously a sweep, it's a real eye-opener. But if the team that wins this series, I think emerges. It's not an elimination series. It's too early for that. But I think if you're just sitting there at the midway point of SEC play and you want to say, who's the second best team in the SEC right now today?
Right.
I think you say it's the winner of this series. And I think Tennessee's right there too, but I think it's the winner of this series, particularly if it's A&M and they've gone to Florida and they've beaten Vandy, if they're able to beat Vandy 2-3 at home.
Yep.
And they're sitting at, which would be for either team to win this series, they're going to be sitting at 10-5, or obviously if there's a sweep, I think you put an end to the debate in terms of mid-season, let's call it power rankings. But either team goes 2-1, you're sitting at 10-5, and I think not without question, but I think you're talking about that team can lay claim. If I'm doing power rankings midway through the SEC schedule, the winner of this series is sitting at number 2. And more importantly, you're getting to those benchmarks, Nuño. If you're A&M and you can win this thing, you're 4 SEC series in a row. You did what you couldn't do at Florida, which is win a series against a perennial SEC power. And I'm talking about, I don't care where they're at right now, but I'm talking about Florida. I say that. A&M did that last weekend with South Carolina. You look at Florida, South Carolina, Vandy, LSU, Mississippi State, Arkansas. Those are the ones to me that when you just go year in and year out, powers in this league. South Carolina, Mississippi State, they've taken a step back, in recent years after legendary coaches. But I still keep them in there. So anytime you do it, you kind of feather in the cap. But this is their second big series against a top 6, because Florida was top 5, against a top 6 team in the country. So you can kind of, little progress report. Hey, our first SEC series, we went on the road, dropped 2 or 3 to a top 5 team. Fast forward 4 weeks, 5 weeks, and we've won every series since, including beating Vanderbilt. It would be massive, dude.
And think about it like this. Not only did you just beat South Carolina, you've got Vandy this weekend. And then you've got South Carolina. We're talking about 3 straight weeks of SEC ranked teams. I think Bama right now is 24-ish. Yeah. So that's
Auburn. Well, you're talking about Auburn? Or
sorry, Auburn.
Bama. Are they still? Bama's 25. Auburn's unranked because they've been struggling in the SEC against really good teams. I watched all 3 of those here. I'm not sure Auburn's not better than Mississippi State and South Carolina. Yeah. In my just watching the game's opinion, I'm not sure Auburn's not better than those 2. It doesn't matter. What matters is you look at that record in the last 3 series, and they're 7-2 in 9 games against Mississippi State, Auburn, and on the road at South Carolina. That's really damn impressive. And if you can make that 9-3 against Mississippi State, Auburn, South Carolina, and Vandy, oh boy. Now you're talking about who's better, A&M or Clemson? Who should be ranked number 2? I think after you got to go do it though. Vanderbilt winning any series against Vandy, home, away, when they're number 1, when they're number 6, when they're number 12, it's really tough. And I don't think you wouldn't know much baseball if you just assumed that A&M is going to win 2 of 3 just because it's at home and there's going to be a ton of fans there. Vanderbilt's really good.
They're really good.
But I think A&M is really good. And I think Texas A&M, I think they'll win 2 of 3 in this series. I just think A&M at home, the way they're built, I think this is I think their ranking is warranted. I think they're absolutely one of the 5 best teams in the country.
Yep.
Question is Vandy number 6? Because if they are, that's a hell of a showdown.
All right, let's hit a break here. We'll come back with some football. A moment for Caldwell Country Chevrolet. They are on Highway 21 in Caldwell. They're online at caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. They have amazing deals on their website that change every month. When you go to caldwellcountrychevrolet.com, you'll get a kind of feel for the vehicles that they have. But I highly recommend going in person out there. It's not that far of a drive. We'll talk about that in a moment. But when you go there, you're going to be blown away by the vehicles, the selection, and, of course, the customer service, because that's what they hang their hat on, right? They are number 1 when it comes to customer service in the Brazos Valley. They're going to take care of you the entire process. There's a reason that they're a proud sponsor of Aggie Athletics, because they want to be a part of this community. And when you go there, you'll feel that energy at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Great trade-in value, great prices on vehicles, and just an overall great experience. And by the way, they've got complimentary pickup and delivery for service customers out there. It's about a 15-minute drive, the edge of Bryan to the beginning of Caldwell. A short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and do business with the great people there at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell. Online, caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. We're back here on TexAgs Radio. I do like those. Those are very nice. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Hey, this is being reported. The Saints have signed Kellen Mond.
Okay. I mean, great for Kellen.
I know he practiced with the Niners on Wednesday, but he's going to latch on there with the Saints.
Great for Kellen. I don't know if it was out or not, but I know Edger and Cooper was meeting was up in Detroit yesterday. I think it was yesterday.
That'd be a good fit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Be a great fit. And
yeah,
add him to that linebacking core. That defense keeps getting better. The offense is, I think, pretty well set. I don't know who they're bringing in to replace Josh Reynolds.
They need,
because he was a key, he was a key receiver for them for most of that season. But yeah, so anyway, pretty exciting for Kellen. I mean, you just got to stick and get
a chance.
Just get some years in the league under your belt for retirement purposes, pension purposes.
Yeah.
So hang around, Kellen.
So
Saints would be a good one. They don't seem to have any QBs, so if he can work his way in there. And didn't they pass it? Can't they carry 3 now?
Yeah.
Be nice.
So a lot of media members are expecting doomsday next week when it comes to the portal. I'm not necessarily making this A&M specific.
Yeah.
But do you expect that same kind of deal, especially with how lax the rules are getting and everything's allowed now? It really is.
Well, not everything.
What's not allowed?
There's one thing that's not allowed. If you leave anywhere in this conference right now,
you can't come back right now,
you can't be immediately eligible in the SEC next year. That's pretty significant when you think about not just A&M, but all the Aggie competition that we even concern ourselves with, really. It used to be we'd concern ourselves with the SEC and Texas, and to a lesser degree OU, right? Like that was the concern for recruiting reasons and just, chirping online. You didn't want Texas to ever have the upper hand. But now they're in the conference, so it's all relative. Like there's really no one else. I know long term you want the SEC to be better than the new look Big Ten, which is going to have some really at least strong names at the top. But I don't think many of us are concerning ourselves with that yet. Texas and OU were a major concern, just like LSU was when A&M was in the Big 12. You were worried about LSU, OU, and Texas. Well, they're in the conference now. So while there are a lot of negatives or like advantages that A&M gave up, what it does mean is you get your chance to beat them on the field if there's ever a perceived, like right now, Texas is ranked high, it's Quinn Ewers, it's Sark, and you're going to get them on the field. You get your chance at them. You're going to get that chance every year. Also, these little advantages they did have by playing in the Big 12, and here were the main couple, were this rule, because if they were still going to be in the Big 12 next year,
they could take anybody.
Anybody in the SEC that wanted to leave couldn't play in that conference and be eligible next year, so they're looking around, and so places like Clemson, Florida State, Texas, just kind of, even though Texas was just outside of it, kind of in that footprint, in the South still.
Mm-hmm.
They were a huge beneficiary. They were set to really be able to take advantage of that no longer. And the biggest thing was getting to claim SEC while playing in the Big 12. Texas was good last year. Texas would have beaten a lot of teams in the SEC. They beat Bama. They would not have run through the league and lost only one game. I take that back. That depends on how the schedule fell out.
Sure.
They probably would have lost multiple games in the conference had they played an SEC schedule.
Yep.
And then this conversation's totally different because even at 11-2 or 10-2, they're not getting in the playoff. And it's probably more like, again, that was a good team. I don't believe it was a great team. 9-3, no one's really talking about you at 9-3 in the SEC. They're LSU. Are they Ole Miss?
Right.
No one's really. It's a fun team to watch, but you're really not a factor in terms of the college football playoff. And so those advantages are gone. So for all that, if Aggie fans think of negatives of those teams coming in the league, there's the advantage. Now, if they're better than you, or if A&M's better. They just are.
Right.
You don't really have to argue and debate it. And you'd rather them come in and have to challenge themselves like you have to challenge yourself every year. Because over time, that is a significant – there weren't many of them, but that was a significant advantage.
Well, I don't know if you heard our discussion in the Go Hour.
I'm sorry, Nuño.
Yes, sir.
Sorry. Portal, everybody's got to worry about it, including A&M. But fans, I think fans have to really dig in and put on your thinking cap and your realism cap every time a name transfers. So if there's a guy that's looking out there now here in Austin, in Baton Rouge, in Tuscaloosa, and they don't think they're going to play and they leave, even if you think, damn, yeah, but in 2 years that player was going to be really good, it is going to get harder and harder to hang on to that type of player for everybody. So what you want to be careful of is not losing the guys that you're expecting to play and contribute. And by the way, not to say any specifics, because I really don't know of any of those big name players at A&M that have a foot out the door and are ready to leave. But I think whether you're an Ohio State fan, Michigan, Florida State, Clemson, Georgia, whoever, if any team doesn't lose a player that you thought you were going to be reliant upon in the portal, I think you will do a celebration in that head coach's office. There'll be some celebrating and high-fiving going on because I think most teams will lose at least somebody or a couple guys that you thought were going to factor in. Maybe not your star players or a surefire starter. Everybody's going to lose a couple guys they thought would factor in.
Especially a competition at spots, right? That's where you're going to see it.
Yeah, especially guys like you might have a guy that's running number 2 and you need him as a second team, but he's like, man, I got David Nuño in front of me. He's got a UFC shirt on. How the hell am I going to beat him out?
You can't pass that. You can't.
So that's, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, I just think you're going to see a lot of that. But I think you'll see less of it in the Southeastern Conference.
Does it behoove coaches to not have a real 1, 2, 3 in certain areas?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course it does. Everybody's playing that game.
Like, hey,
everybody's playing that game.
And because you're just trying to get through this window.
Particularly at quarterback around the country, everybody's playing that game.
Yeah.
And it sucks. It's where it's at, but it is. And I talked to Josh Pate at length yesterday about a million different topics, but one of them, we were just chatting, and one of them was absolutely like, because he tweeted that, and where you got to understand how connected Josh is nationally. That information's coming to him. He's not going around digging around to see who's transferring from every that information's coming to him, and it's probably coming via concerned contacts that he's got all over the country at these power programs.
Right.
So the other part of handling this as a fan base, and again, I'll be surprised if you see significant attrition from A&M. Everywhere is going to have some attrition, though. But it doesn't feel to me, and you heard Elko the other day, and I agree with he has a better feel for it than me, but it was nice to hear him say it. It doesn't feel like it's like anything's on shaky ground like it did when he first got here.
Right.
When you're scrambling to try, it doesn't feel like that at all. It won't go perfectly for the Aggies, the Sooners, the Bulldogs, either of them, Mississippi State or Georgia. It won't. The Tigers, there's like 8 of them. It won't go perfectly for anybody. But I do think that A&M's on a pretty stable footing in terms of that. But if they do lose somebody, the real key, and this is what Peyton and I were talking about, is do you have on your board, do you have a feel for guys that might leave or guys that you're looking at going, if they do, we're going to upgrade? Do you have that board of the attrition that you either fear or expect? And on this board, do you have the replacements lined up?
Right.
And Pate told me a story, and he's probably mentioned it, about one program in particular that he was familiar with, and they basically gave him a look-see, like, hey, here's what we're probably going to lose. And he's like, there's some names on there that he He knew some big recruits back in the day and some names, and then he looks on the other board, and it's
who they're getting,
who they plan to replace him with, and some of them aren't even in the portal yet. They're practicing right now at other schools. So the good coaching staffs and the ones that are 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps ahead, that's happening right now. And knowing Elko and Derek and that recruiting staff and how dialed in they are to everything, that's what's going on across the street as well.
And I'm assuming if you upgrade, that might force the next domino, which is a guy who wasn't thinking about leaving and now is like, well, they just brought this guy in. Now I might go in.
That's the interesting dynamic. Like, say you have a pretty good position, right? We're good at this position, but we lack the top end game-changing stud at whatever position. Let's say you go out and add him. How you don't want to, let's say it's a position, you don't want to lose those other guys.
Right.
You just wanted an alpha at the top.
You just wanted the top guy, yeah.
Like if you got a receiving core and you're like, and I'm just making up a position here. If you got a receiving core and you're like, yeah, but I like these guys. I want to go get a first-round NFL pick.
Right.
If somebody goes out in the portal that I think can be a first-team All-SEC or an All-American, or which we saw, you saw teams like Florida State and Texas greatly benefit from that. Alabama, we watched the guy go for 200 here at Kyle Field from Tennessee to them. Yep. From Georgia to them. So if that guy's out there and you took him, you're not taking him wanting Moose, Noah, or Jade to leave. That's not the goal.
No.
I mean, if
you
he's
just
a first rounder, you're still better at it, but you're trying to add to. By the way, I do like what A&M added. I just want to say, like, as we talk, here and there about spring, and I really like what A&M added in Cyrus Allen and Jabray Barber, and I think Isaiah Williams. The more I hear and see, I think he's going to be. I mean, there was some buzz with him. You took him from Florida. You won a battle against.
Yeah.
But I think he's a stud. I think people are going to go, damn, that was a get right there. Like I think people were more excited about Solomon Williams, and there's plenty to be excited about there too, pass rusher, and DN. But I think they should have been equally as fired up about Isaiah.
Well,
I like the new additions at receiver.
I do too.
A lot.
I told you yesterday. I looked at Cyrus Allen. I'm like, he looks like a player. He just looks the part.
I think another couple. The safeties look. I like Ratcliffe, and then Saunders is a big. Those are big DBs, man, and they can run. I like the looks of them out there. I'm just thinking of guys that we didn't really talk enough about. I think I've made it real clear that I think there's a great chance. I mean, I think Nick Scorton starts. I mean, he's an absolute beast. I've made it real clear that I think Armaj Reed Adams is going to have a real chance to crack that starting five
mentioned him
up
too.
Front. But guys like Cyrus Allen, I think we haven't seen much of Ricks or Trey Jones yet. Injuries. Those are two guys that are going to, if they're out there healthy, really have the potential to make moves just based on what one of them did at Central Michigan, what one of them was as a recruit. And remember, he was at Bama. I think Elko's mind says he's not going to really like signing guys that don't play at their other school. But it's different when it's a guy like Ricks who was behind two highly drafted NFL corners only his freshman year. And you have Holman Wiggins there watching and could say, yeah, that guy's real. So I think those two guys are going to make some real noise once they're out there as well in the secondary. But I love what they added overall in that secondary in the back end. I like Chappelle and what he looks like at nickel.
All right, we have a short segment coming back. It's TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Time to end the day with Double Dave's. Caller number 12, 979-693-1150. We're going to hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-topping pizza from Double Dave. Serving Aggieland says 84. Favorite pizza, your world-famous pepperoni rolls.
Plain rolls with cheese.
Bringing piping hot goodness to your door. Click on doubledaves.com. Hey, a couple observations this weekend. So I'm looking
By the way, Ring Weekend, a great weekend to order a ton of pepperoni rolls. Just keep ordering them. Yeah. Pizzas, rolls, line them up. Just leave the boxes closed. Don't let the stuff get cold. And let people go through. Take your rolls, take your pizza, close the boxes, walk around, talk to people with a mouthful of food in one hand and a cold beer in the other.
So sometimes Dalton will order, I think Dalton
Shiner,
does,
preferably.
some Double Days on an Aggie game day, and I'll just walk in the bullpen after a game or before a game, and it's there. It's always a nice dessert.
It is.
Because I probably won't order on my own at 10 o'clock at night, but if it's there, I'm having it.
Yep.
Hey, this weekend, DJ Lagway making his debut. You got the new Petrino offense. You've got the new DeBoer offense at Alabama. There's some spring games going on this weekend. So, I mean, outside of Aggie baseball against Vandy, there's some viewing for football purposes.
There is, but I can't really bring myself to watch many SEC spring games outside of A&M's. I will, peep the highlights.
Yeah.
I'm more of a read about what they're saying, but the problem is, it's hard to read. I'm going to read an Alabama report on Alabama and then Kentucky. By the way, I am reading Kentucky reports. Holy cow.
Issues.
I'm over here listening to the Matt Jones Spaces on
KSR,
Twitter.
yeah.
20,000 people on the Spaces last night. They've lost their collective minds that they had to go hire the BYU coach who's never won a tournament game. But the more you dig into this dude, he's probably pretty good. The problem is it was so toxic with the whole Calipari thing. And you let him walk to go hire him. That's the problem I think most Kentucky fans have. And now he's at your SEC rival. This is theater.
Yeah. Thank you, Billy. Appreciate you. Have a great weekend. Gig 'em, and we'll see you on Monday.